Home opener for the Bronx Bombers. And a day that has taken on a whole new meaning for Yankee fans with the acquisition of Alex Rodriguez 3 weeks ago. He'll make his debut in pinstripes today against the Philadelphia Phillies. Welcome to A-Rod, game number 1. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball spring training is brought to you by Miller High Life. A beautiful day at Legends Field in Tampa, Florida, as the Philadelphia Phillies and New York Yankees meet for the second straight day. Yesterday in the Phillies' new home in Clearwater, the Phillies were victorious. Welcome, everybody. I'm Sean McDonough. Delighted to have you with us. In that game yesterday, a number of the key Yankees did not play, including Alex Rodriguez. He'll debut as a Yankee in front of the home folks here at Legends Field today. We'll also get a look at most of the Yankee regulars and other newcomers, and they'll be tested going up against the Philadelphia Phillies' best starter in Kevin Millwood. We've made a lot of new acquisitions to our team as well in the offseason. Like the Yankees and Phillies, we're pleased to welcome the former Philly John Kruk to our ESPN family, along with our mainstay Harold Reynolds. You'll see these gentlemen throughout the season on Baseball Tonight. John, great to have you here.
Sean, it's good to be here. Anytime you can get an opportunity to work with Harold Reynolds, you have to jump on it.
I'm going to beat him up all year. Count on it.
We mentioned acquisitions, newcomers, and that was the big story of the offseason throughout Major League Baseball, particularly when it comes to the New York Yankees, A-Rod, and others.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we all know about Alex Rodriguez, but I think a couple guys are going to stand out this year. Gary Sheffield, obviously, and Kenny Lofton. I think the veteran presence for these guys, for one, is going to be huge. But more importantly, when I look at Gary Sheffield, I look at a guy who plays all the time. And he gets in a lineup on a daily basis. I think that's something that the Yankees need consistency of. As you'll see later in the graphics, their 4-hitter was 30th in the league last year in hitting. This is a guy that can fill that void pretty good. Kenny Lofton, he's always on a winning team. And it's going to be interesting this year when Bernie Williams comes back, who's going to play center field, get the bulk of work. But Kenny's a guy that's going to be reliable. This club is sick, man. They are deep. They are deep.
And the Phillies certainly appear to be deeper than they were last season, John, when they narrowly missed the playoffs. That was a major disappointment, but they addressed a lot of their concerns.
Yeah, and most of their concerns were in the bullpen. Jose Mesa, nothing against Jose, but he did not have a great year, and it could have cost them a chance at the wild card. Billy Wagner's going to fill that role. Larry Bowa told me today before the game he's going to love it now when you can shorten the game. But the biggest key for the Phillies is not what they got in the offseason. It's what they still had, and that's Pat Burrell. Pat struggled last year, all year. Larry Bowa could never take the two left-handers and split them with Pat in the middle because he struggled so much last year.
Yeah.
Made it so much easier for the opposing team to manage against them. Pat needs to come up big this year if the Phillies want to go in the postseason.
Absolutely right.
Should be a fun game for early in spring training. A lot of anticipation for these two teams that figure to be in the playoff race throughout. And a lot more fun for you during our telecast. We'll have Major League Baseball wired. Jimmy Rollins and Doug Glanville wearing microphones during the game today. We'll talk live during the game with Phillies manager Larry Bowa. Give you a glimpse of the Phillies' new home. And we'll talk about the top transactions in Major League Baseball in the offseason. We'll also be talking to players as they leave the game throughout the day. Next, the talk with the man of the hour, A-Rod. Welcome back to Legends Field. The Yankees going through their pregame ceremonies. This being their preseason home opener. A very exciting day for the Yankees and their fans. The debut of Alex Rodriguez. He's with Kyle Peterson.
Hey guys, with new Yankee third baseman Alex Rodriguez. Alex, talk about the feeling today putting the pinstripes on for the first time.
Well, it's obviously very special. I mean, I'm still numb of this whole situation, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great challenge moving to a new position, but I'm up for it.
Talk about that change. You moved to third base this year. What are you scared about the most in a game-time situation as opposed to a practice situation at third?
I don't think scared is the right word, but obviously you have some nervous butterflies that go through any ball player. I'm excited. I've been working real hard with Greg Nettles and Willie Randolph and Luis Sojo, and I feel like I'm on my way.
Any words of wisdom today from Greg?
No, just play hard, be aggressive.
Alex, thanks for joining us. Sean, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Alex Rodriguez and the Yankees ready to go. A 1:15 first pitch here at Legends Field as they entertain the Philadelphia Phillies. Kevin Millwood getting ready to make the start against A-Rod and company.
ESPN Spring Training Baseball presented by Miller High Life. Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the High Life. And in part by ESPN Video Games.
Delighted to have you with us on this partly cloudy day in the Tampa Bay area. The temperature near 80 degrees. The Yankees introducing some of their coaches and all-time greats. Always a special part of a Yankee opening day, whether it's in spring training or in the regular season. Let's take a look at what we project the Yankees opening day lineup to be when they open the season at Yankee Stadium, presented by ESPN Video Games. Lofton, Jeter, and A-Rod, the top three. Then Jason Giambi, Gary Sheffield in right field, and Hideki Matsui, the left fielder. Jorge Posada catching. Miguel Cairo perhaps at second base, and Kevin Brown, who will make the start today. His numbers from last year with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
We might be able to play this game right there. This guy's look like some studs, huh?
Jason Giambi doesn't look quite like that anymore, which has been one of the stories of the spring down here in Florida. Not quite as cut as he was in that ESPN Video Games imagery, but no matter how they stack up, and that's just a projection, that's an imposing lineup.
It really is.
That's a video game in itself. They're going to treat some teams like they're playing video games. They're going to throw some points up on the board. That's no doubt. But, you know, can they keep teams from scoring?
That's the big question. I mean, when you lose Andy Pettitte, David Wells, and Roger Clemens to your starting rotation, not just the numbers that they put up, but the innings that they ate up. And I think that's going to be a big question mark. If you look at the Yankees starting rotation, a lot of question marks as you go through that whole rotation.
Well, they lose the 53 wins combined with Pettitte, Clemens, and Wells. They've added Kevin Brown, Javier Vasquez, and in the bullpen, Tom Gordon and Paul Quantrill, both of whom should really help them in an area in which they struggled last year. The setup to get to Mariano Rivera. The question about Brown, who we'll see today, is health.
Yeah, it is a key, and if he's healthy, if Kevin Brown comes back, and again, this is a big if that everybody's waiting on in New York here, but if Kevin Brown is healthy like Kevin Brown, he will be nasty, he will dominate, and you're not going to miss some of the guys that went away. But if he's not, you're going to hear about it real quick, because it's going to immediately affect that bullpen and start taxing that bullpen early in the long season.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Kevin Brown is a great pitcher when he's healthy. An ace, you know, with Mike Mussina, they have co-aces, but, you know, again, you said the health, and if they stay healthy, they have a chance to win it all.
Let's go back down to Kyle Peterson. He's with Derek Jeter.
Derek, you ready? Starting shortstop Derek Jeter. Derek, talk about the feelings here. First day of spring training, putting on the pinstripes. Didn't play yesterday. How's it feel to come out here, yet another spring and an exciting spring?
It's always, you know, it's enjoyable. You know, this is the start of a whole new season. So I think everyone in baseball, you know, everyone's 0-0, and it's you get an opportunity to get a chance to go to the World Series. So it's always a special day.
You know, every time that the Yankees come to spring training, there's plenty of hoopla. This year, probably more than any. How do you deal with that on a year-in, year-out basis, and has this been tougher than any other year?
Not really. It's usually something different every year. You know, every spring we seem to have a big guy that comes in. Obviously, this year with Alex coming over here, it's a little bigger than before. But, you know, this is fun. It's exciting. This is what comes along with playing in this organization.
Derek, thanks for joining us. Sean, back to you.
We're going to keep Kyle busy today, particularly if the pregame festivities continue to run behind schedule. Phillies and Yankees in the on-deck circle from Tampa.
Welcome back to Legend Field here with Philly shortstop Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy, you guys made some moves in the offseason. What's this new club feel like?
It's a lot of fun. We got some guys with a great attitude. That's number one. They coming in, they're receptive of what we're trying to do here and not letting, you know, the rumors about Larry Boyd scare them. And that's been a big adjustment, because everybody coming in, you know, free of conscience and ready to play ball.
Is this the year that somebody finally knocks the Braves off the pedestal in the NL East?
You know what? That'll be great. You're going to have to go out there and win. We definitely have the team to do it. We have the pitching to do it. We have the lineup to do it. It's just about putting the puzzle together. You know, the Braves are still the NL East, you know, champs every year. They seem to find a way, but, you know, this year we're going to find a way to knock them down.
Hold that glove up for a minute. Talk to me about this thing. What do we got going here this year? A little new look?
Yeah, this, you know, Nike's taking pretty good care of me. They invited me out to Hawaii to start things off, and they broke me out and was like, hey, we got something new for you. And I was like, all right, well, it's got to be funky. And they came up to my room. They brought me the white glove. Actually, one I like is it has the white and the red palm. But I took that one home. That's kind of like my baby. So this is my little mess around glove. I figure, you know, if I don't get a gold glove, I can always have a white one.
Jimmy looks good. Sean, back to you.
Phillies and Yankees first pitch right after this. Welcome back to Legends Field in Tampa, Florida. Just about ready for the first pitch of today's game. Brought to you by Miller High Life. Sean McDonough along with John Kruk and Harold Reynolds. The Phillies and the Yankees. They played yesterday. The Phillies victorious in their beautiful new spring training home in Clearwater by a final of 5-1. Their lineup today has Doug Glanville in center field leading off. Jimmy Rollins is the shortstop. Jason Michaels in right field. Pat Burrell, the cleanup hitter and left fielder today. Mike Lieberthal will be the DH. Chase Utley, the second baseman, batting sixth. And Tomas Perez at third base. Jim Rushford at first, as Jim Thome did not make the trip across the bay. And Jeremy Salazar will catch and bat ninth. Whitey Ford and Yogi Berra with the first pitch. They were out during batting practice, sitting on the tower behind the batting cage, the Torrey Tower as they call it, with the manager of the Yankees, Joe Torre. It all seems to be bright and bubbly in his world these days. Talked that this would be his last season as he entered the last year of a contract. Now there have been many published reports that he's on the verge of signing a 2-year extension for perhaps as much as $16 million.
That'll keep you around.
That'd get me to stay around a while longer. Apparently the relationship with George Steinbrenner is better than it was last year. Both men have admitted they had problems in that relationship last season. Lines of communication weren't as open as they had been in the past. And apparently that is at least starting to change, and the acquisition of A-Rod helped to thaw that relationship.
Well, it's good to see. I mean, Joe Torre has done so many things for the Yankees. You hate to see him walk away bitter. And Mr. Steinbrenner, obviously, they both came together and talked about the problems and dealt with it. As we get a good look at Alex Rodriguez over there at third base, for a lot of you that have just now get a chance to see him, he's worked every day, extra work at third base, working on the footwork and different things. I think his biggest challenge, John, is going to be the adjustment of the ball getting to him a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, A-Rod's such a great athlete. I mean, this is the first time I've actually ever seen him in person today before the game. He's a huge man. I mean, he's a monster. And, you know, the thing about him, he's such a great athlete that I think this adjustment is not going to be as difficult as a lot of people think. And honestly, I think he can win another Gold Glove at third.
Would not surprise me in the least bit.
But some would say he's a better shortstop than Derek Jeter, so why not have Jeter move to third?
I don't think that was a move that should have ever been made. I mean, you don't go to 6 World Series without your shortstop being pretty doggone good. Tough to make that move.
And he's Derek Jeter's the shortstop in New York.
It's
A-Rod's
his
never
team.
been the shortstop in New York. It's a little different playing there than it is in Seattle and Texas.
But I can
Once
tell
very
even
good friends, guys. A little bit of a fallout a couple of years ago over some comments that A-Rod made, but apparently they've patched things up, at least back to a cordial relationship here in spring training.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with these guys over the years, and really, Derek says himself, he'll say, hey, I don't have a brother. Alex is like my brother. And you know what? I understood what the situation was there, and they dealt with it. Got through it, got over it, and they're fine, and they get along well, and they're really looking forward to this season playing together. I think it's going to really help the relationship and also have fun playing with somebody you like.
Well, the lineup is great, but so often it comes down to pitching to determine which team is ultimately successful in October. And the Yankees, with a revamped pitching staff, counting on Kevin Brown. He did manage to make 32 starts last year for the Dodgers. And despite the regular lack of run support by that Los Angeles team that was one of the worst in baseball offensively, he won 14 games.
And that's the thing that's amazing to me, how anyone could have won 14 games with the anemic lineup that the Dodgers tossed out there last year. Just shows what kind of stuff this guy has.
And ready to go with an 89-mile-per-hour fastball for strike one to Doug Glanville, of course, the great sinker from Brown. And he gets Glanville to beat it down to A-Rod. Tested immediately and right on the money to Giambi. It was a tricky hopper. A-Rod backed up a step or two, and his throw right on the mark.
And that's a great start for Alex. First ball, the spring, go ahead and get one hit to you. In between hop, read it, backed up. He's got such a great arm. He does two things great. He's got great footwork, and he's got a tremendous arm. And he's going to be able to make up for a lot of things. J-Roll's going to test him right here, though, with the bunt. We'll see how he handles it. I think he's going to test him. I would.
Well, I think Larry Bull hopes he does, too.
Yep, there it is. You were tipped off by your friend Jimmy Rollins, weren't you? Come on, you're smart, but you're not that smart.
I was baiting him during batting practice. I said, if you don't put one down on him, you showed me nothing. You got to go ahead and put it down.
263 last year for Rollins. Stolen base threat as well. He swiped 20. Up the middle. Backhanded by Enrique Wilson, but no chance at first.
And that's something that Larry Bull has been wanting out of Jimmy Rollins for the last 3 years, is hit the ball on the ground and utilize your speed. You know, Jimmy yesterday hit a home run in yesterday's game against the Yankees, and I asked Larry Bull about it. I said, what do you think about Jimmy's home run? He said, I didn't even see it. He said, I turned my head. He said, I don't want to see him hit home runs this year. And that's been his problem in his career, is he'll hit a couple home runs. Now he thinks he's a home run hitter, and he gets away from his game, which is hitting the ball on the ground.
There's Jason Michaels, the right fielder. Limited duty, hit .330 last year. He hits that past A-Rod, a bullet down the left field line. Hideki Matsui over to play it. He'll try for third. Rollins in trouble, and he is out. Rodriguez handled the bouncing throw from Matsui and put the tag on Rollins. In the second goes Michaels with 2 outs.
Well, the thing you got to remember when Kevin Brown is pitching, you're going to get a lot of ground balls. That's 3 balls that have been on the ground. Nice play by Matsui. And look at Alex's positioning right there. Makes a nice tag. Good slide by J-Roll. But he's got him. Anytime the ball's in front of you, that's your decision as the runner. I like the gamble. It's spring training. Put it on him.
I agree with you, Harold, 100%. I think that, and that's what Larry Bull wants from these guys. He wants aggressive base running. Last year they got a little stagnant and they didn't score as many runs. But I tell you, Jason Michaels could be a key to this team off the bench. Guy can swing the bat.
And here's the other key, as you identified him, John. Pat Burrell, just the .209 average last year after signing a $50 million contract. And the Philly fans, perhaps uncharacteristically patient last year with Burrell. He commented that he appreciated they were relatively gentle with him. Don't think that'll continue this year if he continues to struggle. Jeter's throw a little high. Burrell's out, and that ends the inning. Phillies get 2 hits but do not score after half inning. Philadelphia nothing. And the Yankees coming up, including A-Rod. Miller High Life brings you the starting lineup this afternoon for the New York Yankees, who won 101 games in the regular season last year. Second year in a row at 100 wins plus. Kenny Lofton, the center fielder. Derek Jeter at short. A-Rod to bat third and play third. Then Giambi, Sheffield, and Matsui. Posada, Sierra, and Wilson. And that is pretty close to what the lineup will be 1 month from now when the Yankees open the regular season. Lofton, the center fielder, leads off. Bernie Williams out of action. He had an appendectomy and hopes to be back by opening day. Then the question becomes, who will be the Yankee center fielder? Will it be Lofton with Williams as the DH, or the other way around?
You know, it's interesting too, Sean, that, you know, when you look at this could be their lineup opening day, the luxury for Joe Torre to come to spring training and say, day one, this is going to be our lineup. Now I get you guys a couple at bats, get the work in, watch guys progress, and it allows them time to watch some of their younger players develop and go play and know that I don't have to make a decision on anybody. We got our lineup. Makes it a little easier for spring training.
Yeah, and I think the decision on who's going to play center field is up to Bernie Williams. I think that Joe Torre is a guy who's very loyal to the guys who have been around long enough. I think he'll ask Bernie, you know, you tell me if you want to play 4 games and a week and then DH 3, you let me know, and it's up to you. And I think Kenny has to understand that.
Lofton chopped to the second. Chase Utley over to Jim Rushford for the out. 1 out for Kevin Millwood in his second year with the Phillies. Signed a 1-year free agent deal this offseason, about $11 million.
Yeah, and I was talking to Kevin about that. I said, I was surprised to see you back in Philadelphia. There were so many reports of him not wanting to come back. He said he always wanted to come back. And that was the thing that he wanted to get out there for people to understand. I wanted to come back. I was surprised I got him for 1 year, but he wanted to come back.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people in Philadelphia surprised, too, when he agreed to accept salary arbitration and come back with the Phillies. But, you know, he said it all along. He said, I want a chance to win, and I have the best chance in Philadelphia than anywhere else.
Jeter hit a number down to third. Tomas Perez threw him out. 2 down here in the first.
And you can see Kevin last year struggled with his weight and his conditioning. You know, late in the season, you'd watch him pitch, and you know, after the third inning, he's drenched with sweat and he's breathing hard. And he told me, he said, you know, Crookie, let me know. You know, halfway through the season, I'm gonna have a lot of meal money left.
You happy to take it off his hands?
I would be more than happy. Got 11 million. Come on.
Here's A-Rod, his first at bat as a member of the Yankees, against one of the best pitchers in the National League, Kevin Millwood. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Marty Foster, the home plate umpire. Rodriguez, with those totals last year as a Texas Ranger, the MVP in the American League as a result of those numbers, just the 5th time the MVP has been from a losing team. Chopped up the middle to Rollins. And he gets Rodriguez by a step, and the Yankees go in order on 3 ground balls against Millwood in the first. Maybe they'll trade him. No score after 1. Alex Rodriguez already tested in the field, handled a couple of chances cleanly at third base in the first inning. 0 for 1 at the plate. And here come the Phillies against Kevin Brown in the second, with Mike Lieberthal, the DH today, leading off. Lieberthal, Chase Utley, and Tomas Perez. Brown gave up a couple of singles in the first. The Phillies had a runner thrown out at third and did not score. Lieberthal, typical good season with the bat. .313 with 81 runs batted in. Phillies went 86 and 76 last year. Narrowly missed the wild card. The Marlins beat them out. For a while late in the year, the Phillies had the wild card lead. The Marlins surge took it away from them.
I was pulling for them. I really thought the Phillies were going to do it. But the Marlins were very impressive down the stretch. They got hot.
Their pitching got really hot down the stretch. Josh Beckett and Brad Penny, and they just dominated the league.
Well, if you're A-Rod, you want the action right away?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you want that ball hit to you. He does a nice job here reading it, understanding what you can do, your capabilities. He knows he's got a great arm, so he can back up and make that play. And then real simple here, get in the action early, put yourself in the right position to make the throw and make the tag. So a couple nice plays out of Alex early, and I think that's going to help him relax and settle in. You know he's going to hit. You know, so.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about A-Rod's hitting. We got a lot of bad things to worry about. He's the best going. I just think he's going to be a Gold Glove third baseman. You can say what you want about him. I mean, the guy is an athlete, and athletes can adjust.
They figure it out.
They figure out a way to be successful. Now, he might not be the textbook prettiest third baseman a la Greg Nettles, but he's going to be A-Rod, and they believe he's a better athlete than Nettles ever was. Since he's an old teammate, I can talk about it now.
Lieberthal is first with the third Philadelphia hit, being held on by Giambi. Chase Utley, the batter, 1-0 the count.
You know, Sean, last inning we were talking about Kevin Brown's numbers. 32 starts. That surprises me because the way we've talked about him all year last year seemed like he was a broke-down old car that he only made about 10 starts. 32 starts is getting out there at a pretty good, consistent pace. And I think that today, the thing I've seen out of him, he's got the good sinker working. He's got 4 ground balls in the first inning. Here's another one. Yeah, it's a base hit, but it's a ground ball. Those are things you look at in spring training if you're Joe Torre. And the base hit before that was a blooper over the second baseman. So they're not hitting hard, but you look at those things. That's what the difference with spring training and the regular season. You're sitting there looking at things that you're going to look at later and say, okay, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
And I would think a guy like Brown, almost 39 years old, he's been around, been an all-star, pitched in a lot of big games. He still has to have some butterflies today, putting on the pinstripe uniform for the first time, trying to come out and make an immediate impression in his new surroundings.
So if you don't, it's time to go home. It's time to come sit up here.
Well, when you put those pinstripes, I don't care how old you are, you're a rookie again. I mean, that's just the aura, and that's why I want to talk about the aura of the Yankees. You know, when you lose Clemens, Pettit, David Wells, guys who've been successful in pinstripes. You bring in guys who have never been in this situation. They're not prepared for it. And I think, I don't think they're going to get off to a bad start, but if they do, it could be that for that one reason is that, they haven't adjusted yet to playing in pinstripes.
Part of that adjustment, you see another liner back at Giambi.
He knocks it down, looked the runner back, Lieberthal to third, and made the play. That was a well-struck ball by Perez. Lieberthal at third still, and into second goes Utley. 2 men in scoring position with 1 out.
Well, this is every first baseman's nightmare right here. A lefty with having to hold a runner on, but that's the great thing about playing first base. You just knock it down, and you're going to get an out somewhere. The problem is it's going to hurt for a while.
That ball right off his left leg. I know he's going to feel that for a while.
Sometimes we wonder why we didn't bring gloves out there.
Guys, put you on the corner, man.
But, it's a great place for fat people to play first base. I mean, I'm successful there because you just get in the way.
Jim Rushford trying to dump it in right. It's caught. Sheffield's throw to the plate on the money, and Lieberthal is out. Second outfield assist for the Yankees in as many innings. Matsui threw out Rollins in the first going into third, and now Sheffield with his first assist as a member of the Yankees. A perfect throw to Posada, who was waiting for Lieberthal. No score after an inning and a half. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of spring training presented by Miller High Life. The Phillies and the Yankees for the second straight day. Today playing in Tampa. Phillies won yesterday in Clearwater 5-1. No score in this one after an inning and a half despite 4 hits already for the Phillies. And the first pitch of the second from Kevin Millwood. A strike to Jason Giambi. We've all heard a lot about how he is noticeably not as large as he was last year, and that is certainly true as you get a look at him on camera. He says he's only lost about 4 pounds, did it by staying away from the junk food. And you were saying, Harold, during the break between innings, a disappointing year last year for Giambi, and he still had 41 homers.
41 home runs. I mean, I think that is a bad year.
I take that as a career.
That was way more than my career. 41. He almost doubled me, put it that way, to be totally honest up here.
You played in that pitcher's friendly card.
Yeah.
The King Dome. Didn't it fly out of there?
Yeah, it did. Ball jumped, and I still didn't hit homers. What's that telling you?
You knew your role.
Yes, indeed.
1-2 the count on Giambi. Just inside the pitch from Millwood, who pitched a 1-2-3 first. 14 wins last year, 14-12. He was the only pitcher in the majors last year to throw a complete game no-hitter. He did it against the Giants on April 27th. Only Greg Maddux with 36 made more starts than Millwood's 35 in the National League, and he gets Giambi with the breaking ball.
I talked to Kevin before the game. I said, in spring training, what do you try to do? He said, I'll throw all my pitches. Today I'll try to throw 50 pitches. If you look at the graphic there, I'm sure I don't have to point it out. You can read it home.
Really, their rotation's all set. There's no competition. That's going to be the 5, barring injury. They're counting on Eric Milton, the former Yankee and Twin, to come back.
Yeah, if he can come back and be healthy, that's a nice left-hander to pick up in that rotation.
Yeah, and it adds another lefty to their rotation. Randy Wolf being the only only lefty they had last year in their rotation, but they really don't have what you call a number 1. You don't have anyone that has the ability of Kevin Brown, but what they have is they have 5 number 2s, which I think is, going into this season, I think any team would take that.
Gary Sheffield retired on the first pitch. He hit a chopper to short, and Jimmy Rollins threw him out. More spring training baseball on ESPN presented by Miller High Life. Monday, 2 Eastern time, the Angels against Ichiro and the Mariners. Ichiro hit .312 last season. That was a disappointing year.
It's incredible the things we expect these days.
And we expect Vladimir Guerrero to play in that game. What a great addition he should be. If he can stay healthy for the Angels, another much improved team. We'll see that game live from Peoria, Arizona.
I'll tell you what, they're going to be able to throw some offense at you too, the Anaheim Angels.
Here's Hideki Matsui. And even though it's spring training for the game on the field again today, the throng of Japanese media, cameramen and reporters everywhere chronicling every move of Matsui.
Can you imagine how nice a man he has to be, Matsui, to put up with that every day?
Every day. And you know what's interesting, looking back at his year last year, he had a very solid season his first year, but he didn't win Rookie of the Year. And for a Japanese player coming over, that's really the first time. Ichiro won the Rookie year, Nomo, you know, and you know, the argument has always been, well, they were professionals before they got over here. How can they be considered rookies? And I think the reason he lost last year, Angel Baroa, with the Royals, was only 21 years old. And I think that really made a big difference in the voting last year.
Well, they need to set a policy.
They really do.
And say either these guys are going to be eligible, because to me, if he was a rookie last year, Matsui, should have been considered a rookie, he should have been the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And I was strong against the fact that I don't think when they come over and play here after you've been 9 or 10 years, it's almost an insult to Ichiro and to Matsui for the numbers they put up. You win 6 batting titles in Japan, you come here and all of a sudden you're a rookie.
And that's Major League Baseball for them over there. They've been playing Major League Baseball. I would have no problem if they made the policy that if you play professionally in Japan, you're not a rookie when you come over here. But that isn't the policy now, so to me, he should have been the Rookie of the Year. Although he just struck out, so never mind. Give it to Baroa. Coming up, Cal Ripken did it late in his career. Greg Nettles did it in New York. A-Rod doing it in the prime of his career. What has he learned? And how will he do in the early going? Sean McDonough with Harold Reynolds and the newest member of our ESPN baseball broadcast team, John Kruk. Delighted to have you with us from Tampa, the spring training home of the Yankees. They're scoreless with the Phillies after 2. And changes, the first of many at this time of the year in spring training. It's a track meet on and off the field. An all-new battery for the Yankees. Jorge Posada and Kevin Brown done with their work for the day. The new catcher is John Mark. Well, there is Posada. Looked like he was going to come out of the game, but he has come back into the game. And the new pitcher, that is definitely not Kevin Brown, is Donovan Osborne. Lefty.
Where'd he come from? I think I faced him a long time ago.
He's been around, 33-year-old veteran trying to make it as a long shot here.
He's one of those guys that came up real young in the big leagues, so you may have faced him, John.
I did face him. I faced him a lot of years and when he was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he's greeted by Jeremy Salazar. A long drive to right center and over the wall on a hop. The leadoff double for Salazar. Kevin Brown pitched 2 innings, allowed 4 hits, all singles. Cal Ripken, certainly a player who made the transition from Gold Glove shortstop to very solid third baseman.
You know, here's my problem I have with all this talk about the shortstop moving to third base. Everybody played short. When you started off, you go to Little League Diamond right now, your best player is playing shortstop. And eventually you're going to move somewhere else. Second, third, you're going to move. And I think everybody's saying, oh, my gosh, he's moving to third base. I can't believe it. Oh, gee whiz. Greg Nettles played short. He moved to third. I've seen so many. I can't even name all the players. Everybody in baseball has moved to third base at
Rico
some point.
Petrocelli back in my
they've done it. I just think that we've really blown this thing out of proportion. The guy's a great athlete. He's going to catch the ball. The situation's different. But everybody has moved from shortstop. And I think that's the difference in the game, except for maybe some of you left-handers. Don Mattingly played third base.
Glanville hit it to short. Jeter threw him out. Glanville over 2 on a couple of ground outs.
You're awful quiet there, John.
I just think that the hardest thing for him is we saw him take the throw at third from Matsui from left field, and he was behind the base a little bit. He'll learn to get in front of the base and take that throw. And I think the swing and bunt, so, with the guy on second base or a bunt play, does he charge? Does he stay back? And, but that's something with instincts will take over after a while.
Well, if he makes the move as well as Greg Nettles, Yankee fans will be ecstatic. And he's been working with Nettles down here in spring training. I think every former Yankee is here as an instructor of one type or another.
They keep him around, don't they?
Let's hope he doesn't pick up all of Nettles' habits.
Nettles he's gonna get you, man.
Yeah, he is. I see him once a year, regardless of whether I want to or not, and he'll have something to say.
Did you see him today?
Yeah, well, when we were up here sitting, I saw him during batting practice. He waved, but I'll play in a golf tournament somewhere with him, I'm sure.
I want to throw something at you on a serious note, too. I mean, you got a chance to go to play in San Diego with Nettles and a lot of veterans when you came up. It is so important to have veterans on your club, and I want you to expound on that a little bit.
Well,
what did Greg Nettles do for you on the baseball field?
Well, you know what? He taught me how to prepare. You know, when I came up my rookie year, I wasn't playing a lot. I would sit on the bench. He would platoon a lot. You know, we had guys like Jerry Royster, Tim Flannery, Goose Gossage. You know, and he would sit there and just tell me, you know, watch this pitcher, see if you can pick something up. I've never learned how to do that. I didn't know if a guy tipped pitches or, you know, they could tell me what was coming. I probably still wouldn't know. But, you know, Greg Nettles was a guy to help me, you know. So I started focusing on pitchers, picking little things up of, you know, when is he going to throw his breaking ball? When's he going to throw a changeup? And, you know, just stuff like that. Little things that you don't learn in the minor leagues. You know, you can learn all the fundamentals you want. It's the little things. And Greg Nettles taught me a lot of the little things of how to be a successful big league player.
And that's what happens at the big league level when you have veterans around your club. And that's why most teams that go on and deep into the playoffs, get into the playoffs, everybody continues talking about, well, that veteran leadership. It's the little things like that. Why it's so important to have those veterans on your club.
Watch how the shortstop positions himself. If he moves a step to his left, it's going to be an off-speed pitch. If he moves a step to his right, it's going to be a fastball. You know, just little things as a hitter that you can pick up from a veteran that will make your transition from the minor leagues to the big leagues that much quicker.
And I think those are the things that Alex is going to learn at third base. That's his biggest challenge, the situations of the game. You know, right here, he knows Jimmy Rollins is not going to be bunting. Look at where he's positioned now. He's playing him 5 feet behind third base. Those are the things that you're going to learn. A lot of younger players are still playing him in a bunt situation. This is not a bunt situation. You want him to bunt if he wants to bunt right here.
Well, and he's going to be as good as shortstop or good as third baseman as Derek Jeter's going to make him a good third baseman. Tipping off pitches, helping him out that way. You know, letting him know if the right-handed pull hitter's up, it's going to be an off-speed pitch or a fastball.
Rollins punched out by the first base umpire, Eric Cooper. He didn't think it was a swing. It's the first strikeout of the day by a Phillies hitter. That's the question I was going to ask you, Harold. How much communication will there be between Jeter and A-Rod? How much of a help will Jeter be? How much will A-Rod lean on him?
There'll be an awful lot of communication. And I think the one challenge for both of them, that the reason they'll play all these games of spring training together, is to see how far can Derek go to his right. And that allows Alex to move further to his right and guard the line. And to be able to, you know, Alex is going to be able to range deep to his left. So now that allows Jeter to go up the middle more. Those are the type of things that they're going to be able to do. I think the biggest challenge of it all is to learn your pitching staff, because each pitcher throws different. And when you're able to understand how a pitcher might set up a hitter or what pitch he might throw in certain situations, you can anticipate and move yourself accordingly, even without the shortstop telling you where to move or where not to.
And a lot of guys don't sit in on the pitchers and the catchers meetings. I think A-Rod's a guy who likes to be prepared. He likes to know what's going on. He doesn't want to be caught out there, you know, lack for a better word, naked. I mean, he wants to know what's going on. And he might sit in the pitchers meetings with Posada and with the pitching staff and go over and say, here's how we're going to work these guys. Now here's how he's going to position himself.
See, here's the difference at third base. He's looking in at the hitter. If he's at shortstop, he can look around a little bit. He's got to anticipate, look in, and then adjust to that ball being hit. And he's doing a fine job of it. And this is only day one.
So far, it looks like he's been there his whole career. He's handled a couple of tricky hops and handled them flawlessly. So the Phillies do not capitalize on the leadoff double by Salazar. They have 5 hits in 3 innings, but they still have not scored. As we go to the bottom of the third, let's take a look at the Phillies' projected opening day lineup presented by ESPN Video Games, and we're looking forward to the new Citizens Bank Park. First year for the Phillies in their new park. Marlon Byrd likely to open in center field, followed by Jimmy Rollins, Bobby Abreu, the right fielder, Jim Thome at first base, and Mike Lieberthal catching. Pat Burrell hoping for the bounce back year in left. Placido Polanco, David Bell, bothered by back problems last year in Millwood, to be their opening day starter. some of those regulars not here today. Perhaps a little bit of aggravation on the part of the Phillies. They have the Yankees coming over yesterday to their park to help them open their brand new spring training home. Yankees didn't bring a whole lot of their regulars. Maybe a little payback today. Larry Boa didn't exactly bring the A lineup over here today either.
Heck yeah, pay them back. I would.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff happens in spring training.
It does.
Teams get agitated that the other teams don't
Your
bring enough
fans
of their
want to
marquee
see
players to
Alex
their fans.
Rodriguez. They want to see Derek Jeter. These people buy tickets way in advance. Oh, man, the Yankees are coming over to our ballpark. Those guys don't show up. It's not a very exciting day for the fans.
No, and interleagues helped out a lot. You get to see the other players from the other league, but, what, 10 years, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that was the only chance you get to see these guys is come to spring training and watch them. If you're a National League fan, you don't get to see the American League players. So, yeah, it is disappointing that, and especially with opening up the new ballpark over there in Clearwater, the Phillies' new spring training home, and then not having A-Rod or not having Jeter. But, you know what, Joe Torre might have said, I want A-Rod to start his first game here for our fans, not for the Phillies fans, and I don't blame him.
And you can't fault Joe Torre for that or the Yankees. I would have Alex Rodriguez open up in a Yankee uniform at my ballpark. That's just the way it's going to be. The scheduling just didn't work out. And most guys don't travel in spring training anyway. But either way you want to look at it.
It's not a long trip across the bay from Tampa to Clearwater.
It's like an unwritten rule, though, isn't it, that when you go to another team's ballpark, you should bring your three-star players. Well, the Yankees have 10-star players.
Right.
So, I mean,
and in
what do you
defense of the
pick?
Yankees, they did send Giambi, Sheffield, Matsui over there yesterday.
Yeah, so
And most teams would be happy with those three alone on the
Jorge
team.
DePaula start the game on the mound. Posada rolls one to the right side, a base hit. Millwood out there for his third inning as he has breezed through the first two without giving up a base runner, but now Posada, the first Yankee to reach base, on the seeing eye single through the right side.
Well, the beauty of spring training, what I love about spring training as a fan and as a player, it's the one time you really interact. You can go sign autographs. You don't have to worry about you're only going to get 2 at-bats if you're starting a ball game. You go get your running in. You can hang out. You can do a lot of different things. I think that's what makes spring training fun and attractive.
Ruben Sierra, the batter. Now, John, you hated spring training.
The only reason I dislike spring training, never say hate, but disliked greatly, is because I couldn't hit in Florida. And I don't know why. I could not play the game of baseball down here. That was a basket case. I don't know why it was, but I was a terrible spring training player. So I did not look
So you liked it in Arizona when you were with the Padres then?
I didn't mind it there.
Come on.
I didn't mind Arizona. I think because we were in Yuma, Arizona, Harold. You've been there.
I've been there.
There's nothing to do. I had a lot to do in Clearwater.
Some of it not entirely helpful for your season preparation.
Harold and I will get into that later on in the summer, I'm sure. But, yeah, it didn't have anything to do with baseball.
That's funny.
Well, you'll love Bristol, Connecticut as you get ready for baseball tonight.
Yeah. You think Yuma was dry?
Well, I'm dry now. It's been a while since I've had an adult beverage, and am I thinking about halfway through the summer I might have to start again with you around?
No, I think you'll be all right, man. I'll keep you right. I won't get on you too hard. You'll be all right. I'm a non-drinker. You'll be all right.
Well, we're going to be no fun, are we?
A lot of baseball.
1-2 to Sierra in the dirt. Good stop by Salazar, and back standing Posada. A throw on a hop. Looked like Salazar, as the ball was in the air, was going to pick off Jorge Posada.
That's one of those when you get off the base like Jorge right there, and you think your body is moving so slow to get back. If this throws anyone on the other side of the base, he's out.
Well, and I think Jim Rushford right there, I mean, he was surprised. I don't think he thought Posada was that far away, and he kind of, why is he going out to get Posada? I mean, Posada has to come back to him. You don't go chase him, and it gave Posada time to get around the tag.
It was actually a perfect throw. Hop foul back in this direction.
You got those, Harold.
I got that.
We're protected here by the screen.
I mean, I'm looking at this Yankee lineup, and Ruben Sierra's hitting 8th. This could potentially be Bernie Williams' spot, maybe. Depending on where you want to hit Bernie, but 8th. in a lineup for a guy like Ruben Sierra, and Ruben's probably going, "You serious? You're going to hit me 8th? You're going to win this game?" The confidence is still there, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Ruben knows who his teammates are right now.
Well, there are some
he
good guys.
probably look at the lineup. He's thinking, "Okay, why is this guy hitting in front of me?"
Oh, that's a bullet to deep center. Lando retreating, and it is gone.
See, I told you. Why are you hitting me 8th, man? I did crazy. I should be hitting 3rd or 4th. You serious?
Well, not only does he not know who his own teammates are, he probably doesn't know that Kevin Miller's a pretty good pitcher.
He's still going, man. I remember when Ruben, when he was 21, when he broke in with the Texas Rangers, he was an incredible athlete. And he still got it working.
I tell you, he has that high leg kick at home plate. And, you see right here the leg kick. Kevin Miller tries to throw him a fastball. And that's what Ruben hits. He hits fastballs. He's made a living at it. He's made a great living at it, and he's continuing it. How old is he, Harold?
38.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some guys got traded this winter and got a little older, so I don't know. Ruben,
Including Soriano.
yes.
Who was listed at 26, and it turns out when he got to the Rangers, he aged 2 years. But the
That's a
Rangers
long
knew
trip.
about that when they
It's
made
a long-
the trade.
It's a long trip from New York to Texas, and then I can see where he would age. Plus,
in the
he's
wake
not
of
going to win for a
9/11,
while.
the United States government was a lot more diligent in checking the paperwork of people coming into this country from other countries. So, particularly those from Latin America, a number of them aged.
Yes, they did.
Aftermath of that.
Oh, Rafael Furcal gained a couple of years, didn't he?
Yes, he
Bartolo
did.
The
Colon.
praise, Bartolo, yeah.
It's not bad to sign a little young. I don't
Ramon
know.
Ortiz. There were several who suddenly aged. Enrique Wilson is the batter. 2 runs in here against Millwood after he pitched 2 perfect innings.
Talking to Enrique Wilson about his stance, I said, "Did you get that from Rod Carew? Did you watch Rod? You know how Rod used to lay that bat down like that?" He was like, "No, I never saw Rod play." I was like, I guess not.
Well, you don't want to watch the good ones. You always want to watch the bad ones and pick up their habit. But how can you not have watched Rod Carew play?
Well, I mean, maybe he was just trying to let me know that he had a little creativity of his own, But that's Rod Carew, man. That's it. And that's sweet.
Line
throw.
caught by Rushford. A well-hit ball. Possible Millwood might be tiring here in the 3rd inning. His first outing of spring training. They've made their first loud noises against him here in the 3rd.
And basically, the only thing they've hit off the barrel off of him has been, Ruben Sierra, who probably is not going to get much playing time, and Enrique Wilson, who you have to feel sorry for a guy like Enrique Wilson, though. He's playing with all these stars. I mean, he's basically playing with an all-star team. No one's even going to know he's out there. Unless he makes an error or he strikes out with the bases loaded, it's the only time you're ever going to hear of Enrique Wilson. That's sad.
Well, it's really the only position where Yankee fans can look at it and say we don't have a guy who has a chance to be on the all-star team. In every other position, if the guy has a year, you could make the case he could be an all-star.
This guy can go anywhere he wants in New York, anywhere around the United States of America, and no one's going to know who he is because he's playing with all these stars. That's not a bad way to go.
That sounds like John Kruk in San Diego.
I feel, yeah. No, I can tell you, in San Diego, we had no chance of winning. These guys have a pretty legitimate chance of, maybe sneaking in wild card.
Behind the Red Sox.
Of course.
Lofton takes the ball high. He grounded to second his first time up. Well, that rivalry would be renewed on Sunday down in Fort Myers, the home of the Red Sox. Been an interesting winter in the relationship between those 2 organizations. If anything, the rivalry with the way last season ended and then the offseason moves. A-Rod almost going to the Red Sox. Instead, he goes to the Yankees. The owners sniping at each other.
That was great stuff.
The rivalry has come
I
up
love that.
even more.
That was great stuff. It was a lot of talk earlier in the week about Alex not making the trip over to play at the Red Sox ballpark down here in spring training, but looks like because of the scheduling, the Yankees have a split squad doubleheader on Sunday. Both teams are going to play, so he and Derek Jeter will both probably go play against the Red Sox that day.
And they should. Yeah, he's got to get used to seeing their pitching. And what's going to happen in spring training? What are they going to do, drill him because he wanted to come there and then the Red Sox decided they didn't want him? I mean, come on. It's just, if they're worried about him getting booed in Florida with 7,000 to 10,000 fans, how's he going to feel when he gets to Fenway?
Yeah, I don't think it's a worry on the organization or these players. You go play spring training.
And you would think that they would try to get A-Rod and Jeter together in as many games as they can. This is a limited time in spring training to become accustomed to the new position with each other.
And Sean, I know you know this. The Yankees spring is shortened too. When do they open up? What day is that? The
30th, I
30th
believe, in Japan.
Against Tampa Bay. So they've got even a shorter spring than the rest.
So they're probably going to have to leave on, what, the 25th to get over there in time to play on the 30th? Or what?
They play the 30th in Japan. They'll need at least a few days to get over there.
How'd you like to make that trip to start the season?
Only 21 hours.
Oh, come on now, guys.
It's a long way.
It's a life experience.
And we'll just sit up in Bristol and talk about it.
Yeah.
I heard they were going to send you guys over there to chronicle the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
the
right
A-Rod
there.
era.
They can send a few of them.
The games start at 5 in the morning, East Coast time.
Jeter got a hanger and lined it in the left.
Well, I think Millwood's fastly approaching that 50-pitch mark, and that's what he wanted to get to. And he said to me before the game he wasn't really worried about how hard he got hit. The main thing is conditioning right now. And I said, well, when do you start feeling like you need to get into a groove? He said about 3rd or 4th outing. Then you start really feeling like you can stretch yourself and challenge hitters and throw different pitches to get guys out.
And you know, the first couple weeks of spring training, they're throwing against their teammates. They're not putting the same zip on it, you know, the same sharpness on the breaking ball. They're just basically rolling stuff up there. And, you know, now you see hitters from another team, and now it's all of a sudden, okay, it's time to kick it in. It's not that easy to do. I mean, that's why I think you know, sometimes pitchers get a little behind early in spring training. A lot of people think they're ahead. I think they're behind. I think that they're not
ahead.
as sharp. They're not as sharp.
They're ahead.
Oh, come on, man. How do you figure they're ahead?
That first day, you start hitting off those pitchers in spring training and practice.
I'll tell you this, they are ahead. Oh, yeah, that's not good. But they are ahead because in about June or July, if he threw that hanging breaking ball to Jeter, it's 4-0.
Yeah.
Instead of just a measly single to left, he might have a 2-run homer.
See, so you agree with me now?
No, I'll never agree with you. It's not my style.
I'm working him already, Sean.
I'm working him. It's spring training for us, too. You got to get him ready for the season.
We're warming up, man. I'm looking forward to baseball tonight. We're going to get a chance to go at it a lot of different times.
You know, when you set a lineup, you think, okay, I need to, like the Phillies, I need to protect Jim Thome with someone hit behind him. The Yankees protect their 9th hitter. They have protection for their 9th hitter. Their 8th hitter has protection.
There's really not an excuse for having a bad year in this lineup.
No. And this, in my opinion, this will be Joe Torre's toughest year because I don't care what you say. Yes, they're all great players. Yes, they all have egos, though. And for Joe Torre to have that many stars and to have to put up with that many star egos, this is going to be a tough job for him this year.
And that's why it's smart of Mr. Steinbrenner to mend fences with Joe Torre because he's the perfect man to handle this, and he's proven it over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, just because you throw this type of talent out on the field doesn't mean the manager quits managing and just says, here, go play. This is when he manages people. The game, yes, you just throw them out there and let them play. This year he has to manage people.
You hit it right on the nose, John, and I'm going to agree with you on that, managing the people, because the biggest challenge, I think, is going to be the media. Everybody's going to – they already started this whole thing with Jeter and Rodriguez not liking each other, and they went back and they dug up a story from 2001 that was 3 years ago, and in their lives, that's over with. And yeah, they have to watch their words, how they say things, because somebody's going to write, oh, here's the way he reacted to that. Even in the beginning of our broadcast, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Alex talking about asked him if he was scared. No, I'm not scared. You know, and there's no way in the world he's going to say, yeah, I'm scared down there. There's no way he could say that. Next thing you know, it's headlines.
Runners go. It's ball 4. Millwood missed low and away on a 3-2 pitch to Rodriguez, so he reaches for the first time as a Yankee. 0 for 1 with a walk. He grounded out his first time up. That's going to do it for Millwood, who clearly seems to be spent. Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach in his second year with the Phillies, on his way to the mound.
John, did you like to go to the
strong
mound?
Inning. Sorry, Harold.
I'm
and then
sorry,
it kind
Sean.
of came apart here in the third with a little fatigue setting in.
I was going to ask John if, you know, playing at first base. When I was at second, I loved to go to the mound for conversation. Did you go out there?
I loved it. I loved going to the mound because, you know, first of all, you wanted to hear just exactly what the either manager or pitching coach were going to say, because sometimes it was very stupid. Johnny Padres came out a couple times. There's a pitching coach for the Phillies and would say stuff like, you have great stuff, just keep battling, and the guy has a 6 spot in the 2nd inning on him, and you're wondering, what exactly he is watching. Yeah, but it's it was always intriguing on what they exactly told these guys, because pitchers aren't the sharpest people on the team, and sometimes you wonder,
you hear this, John?
Pitchers have to be the smartest players on the team. They do, because they do the most work.
I would ask you about Joe Kerrigan then, because when he was in Boston, he had the reputation of being a very good pitching coach, very knowledgeable about all the mechanics of pitching, but that he tended to smother the pitching staff, that he would overwhelm them with too much information. I know Joe had an episode along those lines with Brett Myers last year, but how did the Phillies pitchers adjust to him in year 1 last season?
I think that it went through a period of yes, they were smothered, and no, they didn't understand everything that he was trying to teach them. Every organization now, when you go through the draft in June, they talk about, we're going to draft the best available athlete. And I think once you draft that athlete, you let them become an athlete and let them play athletically. You don't make them robots. And I think that's what some of the pitchers felt last year with Joe Kerrigan, is that he was trying to make them pitch the way he wanted them to pitch instead of the way they felt comfortable pitching. But I think that, after the blow-up with Brett, I think that, them two sat down and talked, Brett Myers and Joe Kerrigan, and I think they worked it out, and I think they're doing great now.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing in that is that the players have to learn how things have changed too. Even the coaches. Back when Joe was playing, this is what you were told to do. You did it. Players today, they have their own opinion. I'm going to tell you how I do things.
I'll say this for Joe Kerrigan: he's the hardest working coach I've been around in baseball. Yes, maybe it's too much for some guys, but it's not for a lack of effort, and you certainly have to respect and appreciate that. Let's go down to Kyle Peterson. He's with Kevin Brown.
Taping now?
Guys, with Kevin Brown here. Kevin, tell me the feelings you put on the Yankee pinstripes today for the first time. How'd it feel to get out there?
It felt pretty warm out there today. No, it felt good. Great to be out there in the field again. It's just nice to feel healthy. It's early in the spring. We're trying to get our work in, but, guys did a great job behind me today. A couple of great plays by Matsui, Hideki, and then Chef makes a great throw home plate. So hope that's a portent of things to come.
Talk about being healthy. You come off season last year, you make over 30 starts. Come into spring this year. What do you try to get accomplished in these first couple starts?
Well, you're just trying to get your work in, obviously. You'd like to go out there and dominate and just be sharp, but this early in spring training, it's all about getting your work in and being healthy. Just plug and grind. You got to day-to-day just try and get better.
Been in the National League now for a while. Now you come back to the American League. Does that change the way you approach anything? You just go about things the way you always have?
No, I think it's pretty much the same. The only difference really is you've got one more guy in the lineup that's, a really good bat. And so you don't get that somewhat of a break, with the pitcher up there. Beyond that, it's the same game. From the standpoint of pitching, you're still trying to get everybody that walks up there out.
Kevin, thanks for joining us. Sean, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kyle. We appreciate the visit. One of the questions, of course, for every athlete who comes to New York, how will he handle New York? Giambi handles that pitch from Victor Alvarez, sends it to deep right, and gone. A grand slam for Jason Giambi.
Scary, man. It is scary.
You could see how that at bat played out when Alvarez couldn't throw a breaking ball for a strike. When you have to throw Jason Giambi fastballs with the bases loaded because you can't walk him, you're going to give up at least one, possibly four.
And here's the interesting thing is the message that's sent. He's going to have to hit left-handers because this is the one guy in the lineup that the left-handers are going to come in to get out. When you got Gary Sheffield sitting there behind you, you can have Posada down there, Bernie Williams. All of a sudden, it puts a lot of pressure on that one left-hander to come in and know, I got to get Giambi out. You fall behind, he's going to hurt you.
Yeah, you can't get into a situation where he knows what's coming. And with this guy too, Gary Sheffield, you have to element of surprise against these two guys. The only way to get them out,
particularly in that situation, because you fall behind Jason, you can't give in. But when you look over there and you see Gary Sheffield, just thinking, oh my goodness.
And it's not like it's a spring training game. It's like, okay, even if I walk him, we're only down 3-0, so and we can bring in a righty to get Sheffield now. you know, you're in there, and that's the guy he had to get out. And you know, I'm sure that that's going to be penned into the notebook of Joe Kerrigan.
That the situation in the game changes too for the pitcher. All of a sudden, Millwood knows he's on the squad. He knows he's going to get his starts. Get your work in, Kevin. Have a nice day. All of a sudden, Alvarez, he's trying to win a game. He's trying to win a job on this club. Get Jason Giambi out. Oh, he couldn't do it? Okay, well, next.
Alvarez with the Phillies for the first time. He was with the Dodgers last year briefly, spent most of the year in Dodgers AAA in Las Vegas. Sheffield thrown out for the second out of the inning. The Yankees have batted around. Matsui will be the 9th batter of the inning.
And, you know, the thing is about it, Harold, is Alvarez is trying to make this team. And you always want to make a great first impression. And your first impression to a new team, to Larry Bowa, Joe Kerrigan, and the coaching staff of the Phillies is a grand slam. You know, granted, it's Jason Giambi. It's not like the first one he's ever given up. But, you know, that's not a good first impression to make.
I think there's one thing immediately that Alvarez has going for him. He will not be under any cloud of steroid suspicion.
No, there's no doubt about that.
I think we can leave him off the list of suspects. They listed at 5'10", 155. And that 155 might be pushing it. 5'10" might be as well. He's from Mexico.
That was your playing weight, wasn't it?
No, man, I was a little thicker than that. Come on now. Not much.
Not in the minor leagues. Not in the minor leagues.
Yeah, the minor leagues, I was about 155. I'm
want to
skinny
take this
now.
guy out
Shoot,
here
man.
on Dale Mabry Boulevard and get him a cheeseburger at one of these fast food places along here.
I always found it was interesting in spring training, too, a sign to look for early is the guys who play winter ball, because they have such a huge advantage having already came in. They're ready. They're game ready, game tested, and they get such a great jump on you. And for a young player out there who's trying to make a club, it's a great thing to go to winter ball, come in here and try to get that edge.
Good off-speed pitch there from Alvarez to get Matsui, who has struck out twice. The Yankees get 6 on homers by Sierra and Well, get ready, friends. Opening day is just 5 weeks away on ESPN and ESPN2. Be here before we know it.
Loving it. Tell you what, one of the best things that happened this winter was Alex Rodriguez going to the Yankees. You know, whether you like him going there or not, Valentine's Day, NBA All-Star Weekend, and we're talking baseball because of that transaction. It was a huge move.
I know it was a huge, huge move, and it was great for the Yankees and, like you said, for Major League Baseball. But have you seen the NBA lately?
He's saying it wasn't much to do to get over that?
I just kid. I love watching the NBA.
A lot of other. There's a big golf tournament that weekend. I believe the Daytona 500 was that weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and the
you're right.
thing seemed to overwhelm everything.
Big weekend.
Well, a lot of debate about whether it's good for baseball. Certainly, it just adds to the perception that there are the haves and the have-nots, and the haves keep getting more, and the have-nots don't have as much.
Oh,
Burrell hits it down to A-Rod. And Giambi able to stretch. So A-Rod stayed with the play, did not panic, and threw him out.
And you're right. I talked about earlier his arm. See, right here, he can take this bad hop. And because he's got such a strong arm, he's able to field this ball, stay with it, and flick it with no problem getting the guy out. And he got the generous call over there, but that's A-Rod making that throw.
He got a generous call, but he also has the knowledge to it. And that's one thing about A-Rod. He's a very intelligent player, along with being talented. He knows Pat Burrell doesn't run well. He didn't have to pick it up and rush anything and try to overthrow it. He just did what he had to do to get a guy out. It's like Greg Nettles said. He said it's going to be a half a step, but he's going to be out. That's what he told me every day when I played first base. Half a step, but he's going to be out.
Donovan Osborne hits Lieberthal. Now, Harold, overtime, will A-Rod from third throw more over the top? I mean, he's still got that sort of
I don't think so. You know, it just depends on the play. He deep in the hole, yeah, he'll try to get on top of it. But Cal Ripken played for, I don't know how many years, every game, flipping the ball from the side. And I think that's really comes down to whatever comfort level you're at. I've always thought accuracy-wise, it was a lot easier to come from the side than necessarily getting up on top.
And Greg Nettles, this is the way Greg Nettles threw. You know, he just a little sidearm flip and, you know, tail it back into the first baseman.
Did you ever feel pressure at first base to make plays for guys?
in spring training, my first year with Greg Nettles. I'd never played first base. I came up as an outfielder. They asked me if I could play first. Of course, you know, if it meant me making the big league team, sure I can. And, you know, he threw one, and it was up the line, and, you know, towards the outfield. And I ran off the base to get it. Well, and between innings, he said, "Kid," he said, "it'll come back. Just be patient with it." And it always did. But, you know, he threw that sidearm, little tailing sinker or whatever you want to call it, but it always got there just in time. But you can feel the runner coming, and that's what made me nervous about playing first base with Nettles playing third.
I like this young man right here, Chase Utley.
Chase can swing the bat, and there's no fear in it. No fear. I think he's going to be a great major league hitter. You just wonder where.
Yeah, they got to find him a place.
Yeah, and there was talk about trading him this year. You know, there was some talk about trading him to the Expos, maybe throwing him in a deal for Javier Vasquez that never panned out. But, I think eventually, I think American League is going to be a great place for him because you don't find many kids who can swing a bat as well as Chase Utley can.
He hit .323 in AAA last year. Scranton Wilkes-Barre with 18 homers. Got into 43 games for Philadelphia, hit .239. Giambi had trouble finding the pop-up. Handled by Wilson for the second out of the fourth inning. The Yankees lead 6-0.
Just missed that ball right there. I like the way he's able to use the whole field. His approach has really allowed him to be a pretty good hitter. And those are impressive numbers you were just talking about. I don't care what level those were put up at.
And it's every year, too. I mean, it's not like last year was an aberration for him. I mean, every year he puts up numbers. And the problem is defensively. You know, he's a little shaky at second. You know, they tried him at third last year in Scranton. I think, you know, the plan is this year, if he doesn't have a great spring, is to send him back and have him play second base again. You know, but you wonder how frustrating that's going to be. I mean, you know, you put up numbers, you want to advance. And you know, when they start saying, "Oh, we're going to send you back to work on your defense," you know, Bill Madlock told me once, he said, "You can shake a tree and 10 gloves will fall out, but only one bat." You know, you can find someone to catch it. You need to find them guys who can hit it.
Yeah.
Except you, Harold, you could do both.
This guy right here, Tomas Perez, at the plate now. I was talking with him before the game. This is the other thing I love about spring training. You get down here and talk to guys during the cage. He started switch hitting at 22 years old. That is so rare. Said he was working with his dad a lot in the offseason and started switch hitting. Amazing. 22 years old. You know, most switch hitters will start very young, you know, teen years. 22, you've already established, you've been drafted, you've been signed.
I'm not sure I've ever heard of that before.
Amazing.
Hey, I had trouble the one way. How do they do that, switch hitters, when they go into a slump, though?
You just hope that you're facing a guy on the side you're hot on. That's it. That's all you can do.
Can you imagine having to worry about two swings?
Osborne struck out Perez. 2 strong innings for Osborne. Trying to make their club as a long shot out of the bullpen. College game night live from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Saturday at noon and 8 Eastern time in the North Carolina and Duke. Is there a better rivalry in all of college basketball? Blue Devils trying to bounce back. They had their 41-game home winning streak snapped Wednesday by Georgia Tech. North Carolina and Duke. Roy Williams looking for his first win against the arch rival.
Did you see the finish of that Stanford game last night?
Yes, amazing. Amazing Stanford win on a
Washington State couldn't get the ball in bounds, let alone the shot.
You seem upset about it.
Well, you know, I like Stanford. I'm a Pac-10 guy. I'm from the West Coast. I love the Pac-10. I would like to see those guys get beat before they get to the tournament.
You think that'll help them in the tournament?
I think it will. You know, I think in the Pac-10 tournament, it's going to be hard to go through the tourney.
See, and
then on into the NC2As.
I live in Philadelphia now, so
St. Joe's.
I'm a St. Joe's man. Coach Phil.
What a great guy. What a character.
Gosh,
you and he are 2 of the all-time Philadelphia characters.
He's crazy, man. I tell you, he has fun with what he does, and it shows watching kids play. You know, when you watch a Jameer Nelson and what's his name, Delmonte West or
Delonte West.
Delonte West. I mean, you know, these guys have fun playing basketball. Of course, it's a lot easier having fun when you're undefeated, but
the little point guard is sweet, man. Wow.
Jameer.
Yes.
Jameer Nelson,
Like
yeah.
Maybe the National Player of the Year. He and Emeka Okafor of Connecticut would seem to be the two.
And they're talking about him not being a lottery pick in the NBA draft because of his size.
Yeah.
I mean, but you've seen him. I mean, he's put together. I mean, it's not like he's a Earl Boykins type, where he's 5'6" and kind of slender. This guy's put together.
How about Okafor? Now, graduates in 3 years, 3.76 GPA, and he's an academic athlete of the year.
He's an impressive young man
only a
all the
junior.
way around.
Incredible.
Tim Worrell comes in now for the Phillies, the 36-year-old, signed to a 2-year contract back in December. 4th in the National League in saves last year with those 38 for the Giants. He became their closer when Rob Nen went down for the year. And the big problem last year, as you well know, John, that bullpen for Philadelphia day in and day out. A problem spot, and they've done a lot to improve the bullpen, including the addition of Worrell.
Yeah, and this is a key acquisition. They lost Terry Adams, who did a great job for him last year. They lost Turk Wendell, who early in the season he did great, and then he struggled late. But their bullpen was overused last year. I think Larry Bow will admit that. Brandon Duckworth couldn't get deep into games, and he was their 5th starter. And then they had to bring Amori Telemaco up after relieving in the minor leagues, and they brought him up, and he couldn't go deep into games. So, but Tim Worrell, you bring a guy that's 38 saves.
Wind grabbed that ball.
It sure did. That looked like a routine fly when it left the bat. Instead, it's a home run for Posada to the opposite field. That got up into the breeze and carried out of here. The 3rd homer of the ball game for the Yankees, and they lead 7-0.
Well, it's gusting, and that's what happens in spring training in Florida and Arizona. You get a ball up, and it just takes off. That ball got in a jet stream and took off.
Yeah, and you're right. You do find that a lot down here in Florida with, you'll find one part of the field where it doesn't matter if you hit it good or bad, it's going to go that way. And again, we talked about last inning with Alvarez and now Worrell. Worrell doesn't have to worry. He is, okay, home run, who cares? I'm going to be on the team. There's no pressure on him right now, and that's a great thing to have. 38 saves will do that for you, won't it?
As many saves he had last year, I still didn't think that was the role for him. I think this is a perfect fit when you got Billy Wagner backing you up to come in and shut it down. He is a perfect guy as a setup.
The day he signed with the Phillies, I ran into him. I was at the stadium doing something, and probably nothing good, but I ran into him, and I asked him, I said, why would you come here? You say 38 games, you can go somewhere as a closer. He said the only team that, I guess there was only one team that really went actively pursued him as a closer was Toronto. He said, I want to go where I have a chance to win. He said, I think the Phillies, after playing against him, with the acquisitions that they've made, and now with Billy Wagner coming forward, he said, I think we can win here. And that speaks volumes for a guy who's an older player who, was a setup man. I mean, setup men make good money, but they don't make closer money. He turned that down to come to Philly with a chance to win.
Well, late in his career, 36 years old. You see that more and more often. Greg Maddux the other day talking about later in your career, you become more and more concerned about the best chance to win.
Especially when you've tasted the playoffs. When you've had a taste of it.
Didn't Maddux have 12 years of chances to win?
I don't know if he was there for all 12 of those. He was in Chicago for a little while.
Wow. Well, he was there in what, 92 he got there, right? So he had
10 years?
What year is this?
I don't know.
It's 2003. He had 10 or 11 years.
He didn't get there that early. He had a lot, though.
He had his chances.
Greg, I hope you're listening because Crucky is dogging you right now.
That's my man.
Go ahead. Get back at him when you see him.
I like watching him pitch.
Tell you what, the Cubbies are going to be there.
Well, wasn't he there in 93 when you played them in the playoffs?
Yes, he was there. So, see, it was 93, so I'm thinking 92.
I remember that. I was there.
We have to get our research staff on this one.
See,
now
you guys are doing baseball tonight. You'll have people running around finding this stuff out for you.
Yeah.
Wilson strikes out.
What are you looking at me for?
Here in
see
the
how
fourth.
he's looking at me?
Hey, you think I'm dogging
like I started this?
Well, Billy Wagner last season, his typical great year with the fastball up around 100 miles an hour.
Tell you what, the Astros will miss this guy. Trust me, by the end of the year, they will miss him. I love Octavio Dotel. I think he's going to be super. But Billy Wagner, to close the game out, in that ballpark in Houston, you better throw the ball by some people. You better not let them hit it. You got to throw it by them, and that's what Billy Wagner did to be successful in that ballpark.
And take nothing away from Jose Mesa. He's had a great career. He's probably going to close games for the Pirates this year. But if you can make the switch from Jose Mesa, even in his prime, to Billy Wagner in his prime, you got to go with Billy Wagner. He's just a better closer.
And a terrific guy to have on the team. The home run by Posada, the only run allowed by Worrell in the fourth. ESPN Spring Training Baseball coverage presented by Miller High Life, the Phillies and the Yankees from Legends Field in Tampa. Sean McDonough, John Kruk, Harold Reynolds, and Kyle Peterson. Our producer, Scott Matthews. Our director, Bob Frateroli, our terrific ESPN crew. We welcome to ESPN Patrick Cavanaugh, newcomer to our baseball administration, here overseeing the operation today. The boss here today. We have to be on our best behavior, even on day one for you, John.
Patrick, we're trying to do it right.
I didn't know.
I'll tell you what, overlooked in this game has been Osborne. He's pitched great.
He's crafty. I mean, you don't stick around for as long as he has without having some kind of knowledge of how to work hitters.
And the pitchers who have success early in spring are the crafty guys.
Yeah.
Throw that off-speed stuff, keep hitters off balance.
When Donovan first came up, he threw probably, 90, 91, but he was never what you call a hard thrower. I mean, he knew how to pitch, though, and that serves him well here in this role because, I'm sure he's not going to be a guy that's going to complain, I want to start, if one of their starters gets off to a bad start, he's not going to go in and say, I need to start and create waves. He knows what his role is, and he's going to stick to it, or else Joe Torre will get rid of him.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yeah, he's this year's Sterling Hitchcock. He's going to be that swing man.
He was out of baseball last year trying to make a comeback. Smash hit by Rushford. And a nice play down at first base by Tony Clark, who just came into the ball game to take over for Jason Giambi.
See, we were talking all that basketball. Tony Clark used to be a basketball player.
Pac-10, baby.
We just had to let Dick Vitale know, we can go and do that thing if we need to.
In case Dick gets sick one day and they need us.
They got us on this assignment here. Nice play by Tony Clark.
It was. Mel Stottlemyre to the mound. That's going to be it for Osborne.
Again, it's an athlete making a play.
I thought you said just big fat guys played first. What about that?
Tony's an exception to the rule. I mean, usually it is big fat guys that played first base. But now these guys change, man. They all want to be, they all want to look good. It's disappointing.
You didn't care what you look like?
No, still don't.
One of the treats of spring training, we have more access than we have in the regular season. Today we have a microphone on Jimmy Rollins, who not long ago renewed his acquaintance with Derek Jeter.
Oh my God, dang it. No, that wasn't even close, man. God, dogs, they messing with me today, huh? Getting around me. I like them, man. That's Derek Jeter right there. That's what they say? Or did it say Jeter? Did it say Jeter? Pretty fly. You think they'd make me pair that say Jeter in red?
Might never know. You all right, though?
I'm doing good, baby. Real good.
I feel like everyone's going
100. Oh my goodness, dude. Yesterday, Padilla. Oh.
You already going deep, dog. What you talking about?
No, that wasn't a fastball, bro.
No? I was swinging that fastball when I just got that hit.
That's because you're good. Yeah. Everybody can't swing at a fastball and hit a curveball on a line drive.
My mind right here from the swing.
Dude, you stupid, dude. You crazy.
MLB Wired. Jimmy Rollins with the microphone today. He likes the shoes. He's styling. He was all into the white glove before the game. Now he's admiring Derek's shoes.
That's that new Jeter Jumpman shoe he's got out there. I like those, John. I don't know if I could really see you wearing those.
Harold, I'm going to have to agree with you there. I don't think I could be caught dead. I mean, with a suit, maybe. I don't know, baseball uniform, I would look good in those, but.
New pitcher is Scott Proctor. After 2 1/3 strong innings from Osborne, he gave up a hit to the first batter he faced, and that's it. Proctor at AAA Las Vegas last year in the Dodgers organization, 4-2.
I mean, when when you came up, was it a lot of like a matter of style? Because Jimmy's into it.
No, the game has changed, man. When we came up, it was just a matter of, here's your uniform, put it on, kid, go play. Now, you know, you got the long pants, you're tailoring it, perfect crease, and you got all that stuff going on, which, you know, hey, what can you say? I like it. I wish I would have been a little more tailored like
You'd
that.
have wore those shoes that Jeter had.
No doubt, no doubt.
But isn't that Jordan on there?
Yeah, but
Isn't
that's
that
part of
Jordan on his
part
spike?
of the Jordan Jumpman family. See, if you can get in that, that's an exclusive club.
But let me ask you this. Michael Jordan's a great athlete, probably one of the greatest ever. But he couldn't play baseball. Why would Jeter want to wear these baseball spikes?
Because Michael Jordan makes money, and Derek understands that. See, that's the difference.
Derek ain't broke.
So Salazar base hit his second of the day. He had a double his first time up. So he's 2 for 2.
So now I'm going to get a call from Maddox and Michael Jordan.
There you go. You're just getting started.
If you're going to upset them, upset the Hall of Famers. Go right to the top.
There you go.
There's Doug Glanville for the 3rd time today. He's grounded out twice.
It's a good situation right here for Alex to figure out. You got a guy that can run. He's not going to bunt in this situation in a 7-0 game. But, you know, position yourself different. You might get a ground ball. This is a good opportunity to turn a double play. This is something that, if I'm the manager, Joe Torre, I'm hoping to see a situation here.
Yeah.
Disregard the score.
Yeah, the basic grounder throw to first thing. I mean, he's going to get over that. He's going to get that down pretty easy. But, you know, here's the thinking part. Okay, at shortstop, this is what I was going to do. What am I going to do now? Like, if it's a grounder in the hole and it gets past Jeter and A-Rod goes over, he has to remember he has to get back to cover third with a runner on first. And that's something he's going to learn on the way, and he might make mistakes early.
Fastball way outside. Proctor pitching to Glanville. Proctor, 27 years old, a native Floridian from Stuart, Florida, lives in Jensen Beach, Florida now. He came over to the Yankees at the trade deadline last year from the Dodgers with outfielder Bubba Crosby in the trade that sent Robin Ventura to Los Angeles. The Yankees sent him to their AAA team in Columbus. Ground ball and a base hit through the left. So Glanville 1 for 3 now. Back-to-back hits off Proctor.
We almost called that one, didn't we?
I was hoping it was there. But that's the little thing. I was watching Derek on that play and Alex looking at each other. Derek's going to have to remind Alex, hey, go back to the bag. You know, because he's probably thinking, okay, let me get in the, he's so used to being in the position of a cutoff man. You got to retrain your thinking.
And sometimes when you play the corners, especially first base, but even third base, in this situation right here, first and second, you're more concerned about getting back to the base than you are actually getting the grounder. You know, you're worried, okay, if it's a grounder in the hole, you know, is Derek going to get it and throw it to me now? You know, so I have to remember to get to the base. And consequently, you might not get the jump that you should have gotten on the ball because you're more worried about covering to your right instead of your left.
Jimmy Rollins lifts it to right. Sheffield the catch.
See, Sean, if that was a different situation in the game, I think this situation would have presented the biggest challenge for Alex. You got first and second. You got Jimmy Rollins, who can bunt, and he can run, he can slap it by you. Left-handed hitter. Now, how are you going to play this situation? I think that would have been real interesting to see if it was
How much of that will be determined by the dugout?
They'll position him. No doubt they will definitely position him. And a lot of times they want to take that blame. You know, you want that. That's the great thing about having a staff that's not afraid to say, hey, my fault. I'll take the hit on that one. Joe Torre will say, I had Alex in the wrong position if a ball gets by. He's not afraid to do that. And that's even more comforting, where it's tough. I've played for managers that waffled on, well, hey, you need to be in, you need to be halfway, you need to be back, instead of saying, come in, here's what we're doing, or stay back, we're turning 2. You leave it on the player to make that decision. Now all of a sudden, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. And you read about the next day in the paper from the manager or one of the coaches, you know, I tried to move him back. He just didn't listen, or he didn't look in. And, you know, they always want to put blame elsewhere. Everyone wants to put blame elsewhere. And I think the Yankee staff, though, they take the blame. Yep. They take it off the player.
Being secure. Joe Torre very secure in himself, in his position.
And if he gets that $16 million, that's a lot of security.
Interesting, the speculation that Torrey and Steinbrenner are getting along better, in part because Don Zimmer is no longer here. And Zimmer and Steinbrenner couldn't hate each other, or couldn't stand each other. They hated each other. So now that Zimmer's not here, that's one less issue between Torrey and Steinbrenner.
Yeah, a lot of...
I love Zim. I just want to be on the record.
Oh, I know you do.
We all love Zim.
Yeah, he's the best. I saw Zim last night, actually. I was doing a thing for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Zim was over there. Anytime you can have Don Zimmer in the organization, it's a plus.
No question about it. Proctor out of the inning on the comebacker by Michaels on a check swing. 7-0 Yankees in their home opener. And welcome back to Legends Field in Tampa, spring training home of the Yankees. They lead 7-0. All the damage done on home runs. A 2-run homer by Ruben Sierra. A grand slam by Jason Giambi. Those were in the third inning, and a leadoff homer in the fourth by Jorge Posada. New pitcher for the Phillies, and they are excited about the future of this young man, the lefty Cole Hamels. How about that ERA?
How about that name?
Yeah. 1.34 in 18 starts. I don't care what level you're at. That's getting it done.
And I can tell you guys this. Larry Bowa wants him now. And they basically have told Larry, when he pitches, you can't watch. Because don't even think about it. He's probably going to start the year in Double-A. And believe me, it's a fast track for this kid.
He was an A-ball last year. He's just 20 years old. Pitching to Derek Jeter. He was the first-round selection of the Phillies in 2002. 17th player taken in the entire draft.
You got Jeter, A-Rod, Giambi.
Yeah, go get him, big fella.
He pitched in the Hall of Fame game last year against the Mariners and did well. Or no, against the... who they played, Devil Rays, I guess. And you know, he fared well against the Devil Ray hitters. So he's not allergic to this.
He was all in A-ball last year. 101 combined innings between Lakewood and Clearwater, and struck out 147, an average of 13 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Good looking changeup right there, man. When you can have a motion that fastball and changeup the same, you become very difficult to hit. And that's it again, another changeup.
Larry Bowa just got a little more excited.
Well, that's it.
Other changes for the Phillies. Mark Budzinski has taken over in center field for Doug Glanville. The new shortstop is Anderson Machado. And a new catcher is Trent Pratt. Hamels pitching now to A-Rod, who has grounded out and walked. He scored on the Giambi grand slam after the walk in the third.
I can see why Larry Bowa is excited just watching this guy's motion. And if he throws a changeup here, watch this look in this change. Another fastball.
Mid-90s fastball.
Well, and that's what they said. They said he is a young kid. He was a first-round draft pick, but the thing they like about him is his makeup. They said he's not afraid, and I'm sure that's why they. Granted, it's probably coincidence that he's pitching to Jeter and A-Rod and Tony Clark instead of Giambi, but this kid knows how to pitch, and that's the thing that's going to advance him quicker through the organization than another prospect pitcher, because he has that knowledge.
Wow, there's that changeup again.
And granted, early in the spring, that is the best pitch any pitcher can throw is a changeup.
Yeah, this guy looks like he's ready to go right now.
Well, you heard Derek Jeter talking to Jimmy Rollins. He said, when Millwood lifted his leg, that's when he started swinging, because now this time of year, you're not going to hit both. You know that, Harold. I mean, you're going to either hit the fastball or you're going to hit the changeup, and sometimes you won't know which is which.
And he's throwing the changeup in the low 80s, the fastball in the mid-90s. He's had pinpoint control, and he has struck out Jeter and Rodriguez.
And the most important pitch he threw to Alex Rodriguez was the 0-2 fastball away, because Alex was sitting on that changeup the first two pitches. Then all of a sudden he went, okay, now he's not going to throw me that changeup. Drops it on him. See you later.
He promptly jumps behind Tony Clark, so I guess he's just figuring this way. I already got Jeter and A-Rod. Let me walk Tony Clark, who's probably not going to start for the Yankees, and get to Sheffield.
And just really show what I got.
The Paul Owens Award The best pitcher in the Phillies minor league system went to Hamels last year. Clark with the Mets last season. 232.
Well, I know that every team that called the Phillies this winter about making a trade, Cole Hamels' name was thrown up into the deal, and that was squashed immediately because there's no way the Phillies will ever get rid of this kid.
Baseball America selected him the best prospect in the entire Phillies minor league system and the 17th best in all of baseball. And you can see why. He struck out the side. Jeter, Rodriguez, and Clark.
That's the changeup, man.
Wow.
And it's unfair. You guys know that.
Why is it unfair?
You can't hit a changeup.
Not this time of the year.
Should they make that illegal? First week or two in spring training? No changeup.
They should tell you what's coming.
He could have told them it was coming. They still wouldn't have been able to hit it as good as that changeup was.
That's a good point, Sean.
Great motion.
Wow. I know he's only 20, but if he continues to pitch like that this spring, they might be forced to take him.
Well, the other thing is the days of someone being 20, 21, 22, too young to be in the big leagues are over. They're not afraid to take kids to the big leagues now, even on a team like the Phillies that's going to contend. I mean, Alex Rodriguez broke in with the Mariners. He was 18, 19 years old. Ken Griffey Jr., I played with him. He was 19. You know, they do it all the time. Furcal was 19, well, really 21. But either way, you know, they're breaking in young guys all the time. And I think those days are over. They're looking at the talent and saying, we got to win, and we're going to go get it.
Yeah, but, you know, when you came up in the big leagues, when you finally met a big league player, you were in awe. And you know, these kids aren't in awe anymore.
All right.
Let's head down to the field. Kyle Peterson standing by with Alex Rodriguez.
Guys, with A-Rod and Derek Jeter, Alex first talked about how it felt to get this first one out of the way.
Well, it was fun. It was just fun being out there for the first time. It's been about 4 or 5 months. Just felt good.
Derek, you look over, first pitch today, brand new third baseman, and it's A-Rod. What goes through your mind at that point? How excited are you to see this guy now wearing the pinstripe?
Well, yeah, we played against him enough times, so now it's good to have him on our side. So it's going to be fun and exciting for us. It's something that we've been looking forward to.
Alex, talk about it at the beginning. Get the first ground ball of the game. You take a throw early. Does that help you to relax a little bit more over third base?
Yeah, Dougie hit me a 2-chopper that I backed up on. It was good to get that one out of the way, but that's the first of many.
Derek, the moves you guys made this season, obviously you bring in Kevin Brown, Javi Vasquez. Is this everything that you guys need to do to now get to that level that you're so accustomed to in New York?
Well, you hope so, but only time will tell. I mean, we have a pretty good team on paper, but you still have to go out there and perform on the field. So we're excited about it, but it's going to be a long season.
Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, thanks for taking the time. Sean, back to you.
All right, Kyle.
Well, A-Rod better get used to that 4 and 5 months off. So now it's going to be 3 or 4 months off, isn't it?
Yeah, it changes. Definitely.
Matt Burrell, the batter here as we go to the 6th inning. Phillies trying to get on the board. They had 5 hits in the first 3 innings, but could not score.
Now, you think about it, the Yankees, Derek Jeter in particular, has probably played more games than anybody in all of baseball. You know, I mean, think about it. He's always in October. He's always playing in October. He doesn't get a break.
Yeah, not at all. And the interesting thing, too, about the Yankees is they come to spring training thinking World Series. A lot of the clubs come there saying, let's get to the postseason and see what happens. Big difference.
Yeah, let's you know, maybe we can sneak out a wild card if we play real good. That's not in the equation for these guys. They don't think wild card. They think, like you said, they have to be world champions.
Let's talk about Pat Burrell for a second. What did you see in him last year, why he struggled so much? You know, I know you were watching him a lot.
You know, what I saw with Pat was he tried to pull everything. And I think that getting Jim Thome hurt him. I really do. I think he tried to keep up with Jim.
Yeah, he did.
You know, they made a big deal out of Jim Thome hitting one on a highway in batting practice in spring training. Well, then next thing you know, Pat's swinging hard, and he's trying to hit home runs, and he's trying to pull everything. And you know, his natural stroke when he first came up and when he was in the minor leagues was to right center field, and he just completely got away with that. And then, you know, he tried to bat wiggle like Gary Sheffield does, and then he tried not to, and so he was just confused last year. And there's so many people telling him what to do that it just got him more confused. And you know, I think this year it's going to be Greg Gross, the hitting coach, and him, and that's it.
Yeah, I was talking with Greg Gross before the game. You know, they have 28 offensive players in camp, hitters, and they've got 5 different instructors that work with them. And then, obviously, when they dwindle down, Greg will work with everybody. But I think you hit it on the head. It seemed like when I watched the Phillies last year, he had a different stance, a different approach every night. And that was the only ball that he could hit last year, a ball inside that he could jerk. And watching him take batting practice today, he was rifling balls to right center field, right back up the middle. It looked like the same Pat that I saw even in college at the University of Miami when he was playing back then, College World Series days.
Yeah, and he has to be big for him this year. I mean, you cannot go like you did last year with no one hitting in between Abreu and Tony, because Larry Bow right now doesn't know who's going to hit third and who's going to hit fifth. All he knows is he's praying that Pat Burrell can hit fourth, and he'll worry about the rest later. But this is a big concern.
I can't see. I've heard a lot of people talking about, hey, they'll bench him, they'll sit him down or whatever. I cannot see that happening in my mind.
Well, last year they did. Last year they'd sit him down for a game, maybe 2 games. There's Pat leaving the game there, but I think this year they expect to win. They don't expect to, let's just get in the playoffs. They want to win this thing. And if Pat gets off to a slow start, there has to be a reason why Ricky Leday came back. There has to be a reason why Doug Glanville came back. Or they re-signed Doug Glanville.
Eric Almonte is taking over for Alex Rodriguez at third base.
Is that in relation to Danny Almonte? His younger brother, maybe? Is that his younger brother?
Miguel Cairo at shortstop, and he's part of the equation at second base as well. Veteran Darren Bragg is in center field. And another veteran behind the plate, Joe Girardi, who's here in an interesting situation. He doesn't make the team. He has a broadcasting job with the Yankees waiting for him.
It's a great deal for Joe. I mean, you either call games or you play in the games. And it's great for the Yankees to have a guy who's played 15 years in the big leagues. Your backup catcher, you got John Flaherty and you got Jorge Posada. He's going to work out all year long. If somebody gets hurt, hey, we got a guy we can activate right now. What a great gig. I would love that.
Apparently he thinks that, he can come in this without any practice. This is not an easy job.
Here's Bubba Crosby, the new right fielder, making the catch on the pop fly by Lieberthal, who's now 1 for 2 with a single, a hit by pitch, and the fly to right. 1 out here in the 6th. The Yankees lead 7-0. They've been out hit 7-5, but they've hit 3 home runs to account for all 7 runs. A 2-run homer by Ruben Sierra, a grand slam by Jason Giambi, and a solo homer by Jorge Posada.
And I think it's great what the Yankees do with their players. They bring back all the old timers to come to spring training just to hang out. And they make this deal with Joe Girardi, who's was a great catcher for him. Helped them win a couple World Series, but to give him that option, either you make the team or you can announce for us. I mean, that just says wonders about a class organization like these guys. Even though we had to park in St. Pete to get to Tampa to get to this game, but we're not going to hold that against Mr.
Not exactly a warm and fuzzy atmosphere around here today. Little pop fly again to right from Utley, and Crosby has another.
Well, Sean, some of us parked here. Some of us got dropped off.
Hey, I was smart. I've been here before. I had breakfast with some friends of mine and had Jim Krevax drop me off.
New York on the edge attitude pervades even here at their minor league complex. There's a lot of that. Oh, yeah, buddy, you think you're going to park here? Sorry, the lot's 10 miles down the street. Good luck.
Well, the thing is, they all have to answer to the boss, man.
Yes,
and you know what? He's not letting.
Park too.
Yeah, you better do what you're told.
John doesn't know he doesn't get reimbursed for that either.
No.
Welcome.
Honestly, besides going to the Veterans Stadium, I've never driven to a ballpark before. This is the first time I've ever driven to a ballpark.
Excuse me.
And I got lost.
It was to get in, did you?
Excuse me,
I got lost.
This is harder than most, believe me.
Excuse me, big leaguer.
Yeah, well, you pampered big leaguers.
Yeah, I didn't get dropped off.
Never drove.
Well, let me ask you. You said you had breakfast, then your buddy dropped you off. Did you pay for breakfast?
No. Hey, that's my agent. He's supposed to pay.
He's Tommy Lasorda. He's America's guest over here.
You should see him in Omaha, the College World Series. He's there for 2 weeks on the scholarship. He doesn't pay for anything.
Good gig, College World Series. Not too far off. They're already up and flying in college baseball.
Looking forward to it. Of course, a lot of college baseball in this area. A lot of the teams from the north come down here on their spring breaks, and play local college teams. Red Sox, as a matter of fact, are playing 2 college teams today from Boston College and Northeastern University.
And getting Schilling and Pedro.
Yeah, how'd you like to be those college kids going up against Schilling tonight?
Yeah, how about that?
I'm enjoying your spring break.
Schilling and Pedro tonight.
Yeah.
That's great.
Coach, we don't get to see that too often up in the Northeast.
3-1 from Scott Proctor. Well struck by Perez to deep right. Crosby running out of room. That ball is gone. So the long balls continue with the breeze blowing out here at Legends Field. Proctor gives up a 2-run homer to Tomas Perez, and the Phillies are on the board. It is 7-2.
Now, the last time Tomas was up, I was saying he started switch hitting at 22 years old. He's a natural right-handed hitter. He has not even been hitting left-handed that long.
He's got some pop, though, from the right side. I got to see him a lot last year. And the only problem with him last year was he cannot do it every day. He's a guy that 2 times a week, 3 times a week, maybe, he's great. But if you put him out there every day, when David Bell got hurt and he had to play a lot, some guys don't, mentally, they can't do it every day.
There's a diving attempt by Bragg. Did he catch it? Yes, he did. He robs Jim Rushford of a hit. Darren Bragg, who's bounced around to a number of different teams, trying to make it as a backup outfielder, and plays like this will help your cause.
Sure will. Well, he could have broke his wrist on that one. Great job of rolling underneath that and staying with that ball.
Could have broke his wrist and his nose, I think. It's got everything trapped underneath him.
2 runs in the inning for Philadelphia on the home run by Perez. And as we go to the bottom of the 6th, it is 7-2 New York. And in just a moment, we're going to speak with Larry Boa. We're at Legends Field in Tampa, the spring training home of the New York Yankees. They're entertaining the Philadelphia Phillies. These 2 teams played yesterday in Clearwater. The Phillies victorious 5-1. Sean McDonough with John Kruk, Harold Reynolds, and down on the field, Kyle Peterson is with us. Delighted to have you with us for ESPN Spring Training Baseball presented by Miller High Life. All of the runs in this game on home runs. The Yankees have hit 3, and the Phillies a moment ago getting the long ball from Perez. Ninth year at Legends Field for the New York Yankees. This is spring training number 102 in the history of the New York Yankees. Larry Boa kind enough to join us during the ball game. We appreciate the visit, Larry. The first thing I want to ask you about, the thing that has jumped out at us so far today, was the young left-hander you had out there, Cole Hamels, just 20 years old. If he continues to pitch like that, will you take him north with your big club?
No, not this year, but this guy's something special. He's going to move real quick, believe me. He's got a big league changeup right now. The only thing he lacks right now is innings, and just a matter of time. If he's healthy, he's as can't miss as you can get.
Larry, we got him on the club already. This is Harold talking to you. We got him on the club, buddy.
I had him on the club when I saw him at the Hall of Fame game last year. This guy's got a lot of composure. He knows how to pitch, and he's not awed by anything, believe me.
Hey, what are you looking at in spring training as a manager? How are you trying to put your club together and give the people a feel of what you're watching during spring training?
Well, I'm watching my starters, and I thought Millwood threw the ball well. He ran into a little trouble in the 3rd. I'm looking at our back end of our bullpen. Worrell threw good. There's only 1 or 2 spots open, Harold, and it's back in 10 and 11 pitchers on my bench, 1 guy on the bench. Other than that, I'm just looking for these guys to stretch it out and stay healthy.
Well, this is John Kruk. You think Billy Wagner will be your closer this year?
I don't know. We got a toss-up down there right now. No, we're trying to get him on the mound right now. He's going it slow right now. He had a little swelling in his finger, but he's okay.
Larry, we brought John to our team to ask those kinds of hard-hitting questions.
All right.
Appreciate the visit.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks, Larry.
There's not really much.
Right to the
well, there's not really much for him to do. I mean,
No.
you know, it's lineup set. You basically know who's going to be your starting 8, and then your rotation's set, and your bullpen's pretty much set. I mean, besides your 3rd string catcher, which is going to be Sean Wooten. That's even taken care of. I mean, there's nothing for them to do. He should just go. He should just go north.
Yeah. Go to the beach. Matsui still in the ball game. Might be his last at bat. He struck out twice. And 1-1 the count on Hideki.
Is Larry going to settle down this year?
Harold, every year he tells me he is. Hey, I'm a new guy. I'm new, calm, I'm cool, I'm collected. But you know what? He told me, we talked about it this winter, and, you know, it's when you talk to him, and he could be telling you a joke, he looks like he's yelling at you from afar. People see that on TV, and they think, oh, he's screaming at someone. That's not the case. I played for the guy in San Diego. Now, that's when he screamed at people.
Rounded to short, and the Phillies turn it.
Very
Nicely
nice.
done by Utley, showing a strong arm. Machado flipped it to him. Crosby had started the inning with a single. The first hit given up by Hamels, working his second inning of relief. Luke Collier has taken over at third base for Perez. Brian Hitchcock is the first baseman, taking over for Jim Rushford. A nice hand for Joe Girardi, popular player.
Well, they don't forget those rings, let me tell you. That will help people remember you when you're winning World Series.
That was Hitchcock's at second base. And Girardi out on the chopper down to first to Rushford, and that ends the inning. After 6, it's 7-2 New York. Back in Tampa, where the Yankees lead 7-2 as we go to the late innings. Felix Heredia, the new pitcher, fourth pitcher of the day for New York. And Trent Pratt, the catcher, hits a ground ball to second. And he is retired in his first at bat of the ball game. Felix Heredia, veteran lefty, in 69 games last year.
And to me, this is a key player for the Yankees this year. He's basically their only lefty in the bullpen now, besides Donovan Osborne. You know, is he the guy that can get out the left-handed hitter in a key situation in the 7th or 8th inning?
They fell in love with him last year down the stretch, and he struggled before that in Florida and in Chicago also. And when he came to New York, for some reason, he got it together and was able to do that. But you're right. I think this is the one question mark that they have. You know, we talked a lot about the starting pitching being a question mark. The bullpen is the strength of this pitching staff, and he's one of the guys they got to rely on.
Mark Budzinski thrown out. Mike Vento has come into the ballgame in right field. Darren Bragg left the ballgame after making that diving catch, so perhaps he did injure his wrist on that play that ended the last inning. Crosby, who had been in right, moved to center field, and Travis Lee, ordinarily an infielder, just signed by the Yankees 2 days ago as a free agent. A one-year contract. He played for the Devil Rays last year. He's in left. Former Philadelphia Philly. Anderson Machado, the batter, against Heredia. He's up for the first time today. You're talking about Larry Bowen if he's mellowed, but how about his job security? I know it was rumored to be in jeopardy at the end of last season, but with the high expectations this year, if they start slowly, is he one of those guys who's on the hot seat right from the very beginning?
I think without a doubt.
I think so too, but they extended his contract, so I mean, do you get rid of a guy after extending his contract?
Sure.
And who is a right manager for this team? I mean, they
Harold Reynolds.
They threw it around. Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
well, Harold.
I'll be right here. I manage 30 teams every night.
I think Harold should be commissioner myself. But
yeah, thanks, guys. Mr. Saley can keep that. No, I think one of the reasons they had to extend Larry Bowa, because you're moving into a new ballpark. And you go out and you make all these moves to put this club together. You cannot all of a sudden have your manager not with a secure job. Who's going to be the manager? So they had to extend it.
But even with the contract,
here's
not necessarily
what they've
secure.
done, though.
No, I don't agree. I agree with you, Sean, that he is not secure, even with the contract.
I agree with that, because they went out and hired Bob Boone as a special assistant to the general manager. He's going to be around all summer. Charlie Manuel, they hired last year as a special assistant to the GM. He's managed before with Cleveland. And they hired Mike Schmidt as a manager in A-ball. So I mean, they have guys ready to take someone's place if something does happen with it.
I don't think we'll run into a situation like the NBA ran into, where you saw 17 guys fired in one division. That's not going to happen. But
Well, was
Pressure
too much
is
made
on
of the
Larry.
episode last year where supposedly they had a meeting amongst the players and said we're just going to ignore Larry?
Yes, a lot was made out of that shouldn't have ever been made. You know, in the snubbing when Pat hit a home run, Pat Burrell hit a home run the next night in New York.
He intentionally
ran by him. Yeah, but you know what? They've talked about that, and they've gotten over that situation. You know, it's like Larry told me this winter. You know, I had one meeting to air out my frustrations with this team that was underachieving, and people made a big deal out of it. He said managers do it all the time. He said, you don't think Lou Piniella has a meeting every other week, but no one says anything because it's Lou Piniella. You know, Larry Boa doesn't. It's because he's fiery and he has a temper. You know, people think, you know, he's lost it, which, you know, I think if people would leave him alone and let him manage, I think that, you know, you would see what type of a great manager that he is.
To me, if you got to motivate players at the major league level, get rid of your players. They don't need to be here. You don't need to be motivated to be a Major League Baseball player to get paid to do something that you've done your whole life and you get to have fun doing. You don't need a manager to motivate you. I look at my manager to X and O. Make the right decisions, put guys in the situation they can be successful in. That's what a manager should be judged on. And if it's on, oh, he didn't motivate his team, that's ridiculous. This is not football, the NFL, where you're going to yell and scream and get guys fired up. Baseball's a marathon. It's 162 games.
Yeah, and I don't care. This is the only time I'll ever bring money into the situation, but when you're making the money that you're making and you need someone to motivate you or inspire you to go out and play harder, then that's when they should have salaries without guarantees and cut the guy, not pay him.
Wow, Mark Smith hits a deep drive to left center, and forget about this one. That didn't need the wind. Off the scoreboard for Smith, a 3-run homer. Heredia got the first 2 batters in this inning on grounders, but then walked Machado and Michaels. And Smith, up for the first time today, goes deep. It's 7-5 as the Phillies have scored 5 unanswered runs.
This guy can rake. I'm telling you, he is the wild card of this spring training. What is going to happen with Mark Smith? Mark Smith's going to play for somebody. He's going to get a chance to pinch hit, and he's going to do stuff like this.
And that's a special knack. And anyone who's ever played the game of baseball who wasn't an everyday player, there's little man.
Toughest job in the world.
It is the absolute toughest job in the world, and he's accepted it. He knows he's not going to be an everyday player in the big leagues. You know, he just wants to hang on and pinch hit and help a team win. And you know, I'd love to see him in Philadelphia because you know, I think he can help them win.
Lieberthal hits a smash. Or check that, Sean Wooten batting for Lieberthal. Smashed one down the third base line out of the reach of Almonte.
That's another guy can hit.
Yeah.
And there's where your bench is. I mean, you have Mark Smith. Do you keep Sean Wooten, or do you hit Jason Michaels, who hit 330 last year off the bench? You know, it's a great problem to have, but I wouldn't want to be in Larry Boa's and the Phillies coaching staff of determining who you take.
Depends on the type of club you're going to try to break with, too. Do you want to keep an extra catcher? Do you not? Looking for that guy off the bench?
Well, that's where Sean Wooten has the advantage because he can catch, but he can also play third and first. And with David Bell's back and having to spell Jim Thome every once in a while against a tough lefty, a day game maybe, you know, then you have Sean Wooten to take his spot. So I think Sean Wooten is a guy that pretty much has the inside track is going to make this team. I think it's between Mark Smith and Jason Michaels.
Inside corner strike for Heredia, suddenly laboring after retiring the first 2. Hitchcock came in to play second base. Here's the tying run at the plate. They were down 7-0. A 2-run homer by Perez and a 3-run homer by Smith. And they're right back in the ballgame. Heredia tied up Hitchcock. And that's the inning, but the Phillies get 3 on the Smith homer. Coming up, the vet will be demolished on March 21st. The reason is a beautiful new ballpark in Philly. We'll give you a peek at Citizens Park next. We're back on a beautiful day in Tampa. The Yankees leading the Phillies 7-5. And all of the runs in this game have scored on home runs. David Coggin, the new pitcher for the Phillies, as we go to the bottom of the 7th, and he threw ball 1.
David Coggin's coming off an injury. He missed all of last year. Was his shoulder back, I think? I can't remember.
He had right shoulder surgery September of 2002. Did make some rehab appearances in their minor league system. 27 years old. Got into 31 games in relief in 2002.
He came into some tough jams that year. Kind of made a name for himself, and the injury obviously set him back a little bit. It looks like he's got a little something on the ball now. That's a long process back, though. When you're talking about shoulders and arm injuries and anything in that area, it's a long process to get back.
Yeah, and he worked really hard last year. I know he made a couple of rehab starts. I think he started in the rehab assignments, and you know, never could. You know, one game he couldn't even get loose. He couldn't even come in the game. Couldn't get loose in the bullpen. You know, but he tried to come back, and you know, now he's pretty much a man without a job. I mean, he has no. What's Ruben doing?
In it deep to center. Breeze helped take it for a ride. Mark Budzinski the catch. Sierra's 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer.
Ruben's raking, man.
Well, you're going to be sorry to see the vet go later this month when they implode it?
Sean, I am absolutely not. You know, when I was just in this place last Friday, Citizens Bank Park, and I mean, it is spectacular. You know, it's kind of has a little bit of Camden. Yeah, it's packed, and they're waiting for opening day.
They're very eager.
You know, it's natural grass, which I think baseball should be played on. You know, it just, you know, the old brick, and you know, it reminds you of old architectural structures in the city of Philadelphia. So, you know, I think the fans are going to like it. It's a smaller. It's not that 70,000 seat circle, donut, or whatever they want to call it.
Ooh, off the bare hand of Hagen, the bouncer from Wilson.
You don't want to do that
to be injured, but that is exactly the wrong thing to do.
Man,
not after coming off a missed season with a shoulder surgery, and then you try to reach out. Why do pitchers do that? I mean,
it's a natural reaction. That's all it is. It's got to be.
But, you know, when a pitcher throws a ball at a hitter, we have the natural reaction to get out of the way.
You've been trained to get out of the way, but any ball coming back at you, if you're fielding a ground ball, that takes a bad hop, what are you going to do? You're going to swipe at it instead of get out of the way.
Hopefully the right fielder will get it in quick and keep him at first.
Andy Phillips running at first base for Wilson. And they double up Travis Lee in his first at-bat for the Yankees. 4-6-3, Hitchcock, Machado, and Rushford. And that ends the inning. Hagen out of the inning unscathed. Down to the field, Kyle Peterson is standing by with the Phillies general manager, Ed Wade.
I'm here with Ed Wade. Ed, first of all, talk about your offseason moves. Like, great offseason for you guys. You pick up a couple needed arms in the bullpen. How do you assess your entire offseason?
Well, we thought it was successful. Getting Billy Wagner, what we did very early in the offseason, sort of a linchpin for us. We had decided that we needed a more legitimate back into the bullpen guy. We needed a setup guy, and we were able to go out and sign Tim Worrell at 38 saves last year. So we felt that we addressed the bullpen very well. We wanted an experienced starter. We had hoped to get Kevin Millwood back. When we weren't sure that we were getting him back in late November, we were able to make the trade for Eric Milton with Minnesota, and then Kevin accepted salary arbitration. So those 4 pitching moves, the addition of Roberto Hernandez to our bullpen, Sean Wooten off the bench, we think that we addressed our needs well. Now we just have to stay healthy and get ready.
You talk about Millwood accepting salary arbitration. Was that a surprise to you? Did you think he would accept? I mean, did you think there was any chance you'd get him back?
Well, there was uncertainty. We had made a multi-year proposal to Kevin in late November, and we didn't get to the finish line. So we made the Milton deal to protect ourselves in the event that he didn't accept salary arbitration. At the same time, Eric's contract expires at the end of this coming season. So we felt that even if Kevin did accept, we were still in a very good position because we had flexibility after this season. We'd love to have both guys be successful and keep them both past this year, but because of the fact that we had some flexibility, it made sense for us to go ahead and do both things.
Talk for a minute about that young left-hander we saw earlier today, Cole Hamels. Pretty good looking for a 21-year-old kid. What are your plans for him this year?
Well, Cole's a non-roster invitee in camp, and I've told our staff, don't get too excited about him. It's going to be a while before we get him here, but he's legitimate, top of the rotation prospect for us. We've also got Gavin Floyd in our farm system. Both these kids light up everybody's eyes, and it's great to look on the horizon. We spent a lot of time beginning around 1997 to get our farm system straightened out and to be able to have a lot of the young nucleus that we have on the big league club right now, plus a guy like Hamels is really great for us.
Ed Wade, thanks for joining us. Sean, back to you.
Thank you very much. Interesting chat.
It really was. I think it's interesting when they start looking at their farm system to build, you know, and addressing problems in your farm system. And then also, you know, he said bringing Wooten off the bench. I guess that answered our question last inning.
He's so versatile. You know, I mean, you know, first catch, you know, now you don't have to carry a third catcher because you have him. You know, but again, Cole Hamels, I mean, that's, and Gavin Floyd, I mean, those are two guys that everyone wants. Every time there's a talk about a trade with the Phillies, those are the two names. Even when they were talking about Schilling, getting Schilling from Arizona, that's who the Phillies wouldn't part with. They didn't want to part with Gavin or Cole, either one of them. And you know, you have to keep pitching. I mean, you can trade away a position player because you can always find one of them, but you cannot trade away quality pitching. And you know, I think they make a mistake in the Phillies organization of not bringing them up sooner. I think if they're ready, bring them up. But, you know, they like to keep them at every stop. You know, go to A-ball, go to Double-A, go to Triple-A.
Lou Collier, the hitter. He was in Triple-A in the Red Sox organization last year, the good year in Pawtucket. Well, those guys have put up good minor league numbers, but has had a tough time sticking at the major league level.
I like this kid. He just needs an opportunity to play. And really, you see a lot of prospects in spring training. Like we talked about Smith last inning. Mark Smith hit the home run. Opportunity. And when I was a younger player, you start looking at, your perspective has got to be, there's 30 teams out there. Just like we're watching this game right now, he drives the ball over left fielder's head with double. We'll see if he continues on with Travis Lee out there in left. But you got to have the perspective of, if I go out and show what I can do, somebody in the big league level is going to pick me up. And that's the point you got to get to when you're a young prospect, and you may not get that opportunity in the organization you're in. I mean, can you imagine being a Yankee third baseman now? You ain't coming up. You better start putting on some kind of a show to be able to go somewhere else.
Well, play football.
It's
the Yankee third baseman.
It's just like the Phillies' top hitting prospect, Ryan Howard. He's a first baseman. Where's he going? And he's a left-hand hitting first baseman.
And he's got power.
And a lot of power. I mean, he was, what, 3 RBIs away from a Triple Crown last year in the Florida State League. But where's he going? And, you know, he asked me, he said, you know, what do you think? I said, you know what? You're playing for all the other teams. You're all playing for the Phillies because that's who's paying you. But you're playing for the other teams because more than likely that's where you're going to get to the big leagues with someone else.
Rushford, the hitter, he's gone all the way at first base, 0 for 3 today. Felix Heredia pitching in his second inning. He gave up 3 runs last inning on 2 2-out walks and a home run to Mark Smith. Rushford, the tying run at the plate, with Collier at second after the leadoff double.
See, Harold, you don't understand because you were always a prospect.
Shoot, I was a suspect.
No, I remember playing against you in the minor leagues. That's all he talked about. Harold Reynolds this, Harold Reynolds that. I got sick of it.
Now you got to sit next to me. See how he is taking it out on me years later.
It is on Baseball Tonight.
Comes
too.
full
Harold
circle.
Reynolds this, Harold Reynolds that. You're going to have to get used to it again.
Man, keep me up.
Oh, well. Like working
Baseball
with Elvis.
Tonight, presented by Harold Reynolds.
Wow, man. Wow.
Went on the hands and fouled right back here.
That could be worse. Could be Sutcliffe.
You're just coming into our team and burying everybody.
That's the third guy today. Well, I'm not even counting myself.
Yeah.
You buried me. But who else did you get? You got Maddox. Who else did he get? He got
Michael Jordan.
Jordan, Maddox, and now Sutcliffe.
Well, at least he's going for the big guys.
Jeez.
Hall of Famers.
I'm keeping the list, man. Day 1.
Well, it's going to be a long list, I tell you.
Well, for those who don't know, you spent last year working as a Phillies broadcaster. How'd you enjoy that?
I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
I thought you did some homework. That's why you know all these guys.
I don't know any of these minor league guys.
Go ahead. I'm messing with it.
Good pitch there by Heredia. Rushford knew he was out. First out of the inning.
It's fun because you know why? When you watch a game live and you get to talk about it, you become a better player. Like I was okay as a player. Well, I was really good last year. You know, I thought Hall of Fame maybe, you know, but you know, I was a lot better player last year than I ever was when I actually did play.
You're absolutely right, man. The numbers get better. The stories get bigger?
You lapse into a lot of, well, when I played.
No, because, you know, I know how hard it is. I know, and I know how many times I messed up. And, you know, when I see a guy mess up and you hear an announcer say, you know, how can you make that error? How can you miss that ball, or, you know, miss that ground, or how can you throw that ball away? We've all done it. I mean, no one's ever played a perfect year. You know, it's just going to happen. And, you know, until you realize that, you can talk about it in a way that makes people understand that you're going to make mistakes. Because kids watching games, sometimes they'd listen to an announcer and they think, you know, I should never make a mistake. Well, you're going to. It's how you adjust after that mistake that makes you a better player.
Trent Pratt in his second at bat. He came in for the catcher Salazar a couple of innings ago. Nice catch down there against the rail by Mike Vento. Collier tags and goes to third with 2 outs.
Ball really came back. Shows how hard the ball's being pushed to left field. Because that ball's in the bullpen. That's in foul territory, and all of a sudden it came back. Nice job of staying with that.
And if that was Gary Sheffield, day 2 of spring training,
foul ball.
It's a foul ball. But it's Mike Vento, and he's trying to make an impression, and he's going to jump in them seats and fight a fan for it.
The numbers tell you a lot, though. When you're number 79, chances are it's not going to happen for you this year.
Yeah, we had a guy when I was in Seattle. His name was Jeff Schaefer. He played utility guy backup. So he's facing Nolan Ryan. He's wearing like number 58. So he walked up to the plate and he said, "I'm number 58, huh?" To the umpire, and he goes, "Yep." He goes, "I better be hacking, huh?" I said, "Yep."
Especially against Nolan. Mark Budzinski, the batter, he grounded out in the 7th inning. We're in the 8th, and the Phillies trail 7-5. Budzinski, the tying run at the plate.
And you don't think that's a disadvantage to a guy who's coming in as a non-roster invitee trying to make a team? When the umpire sees number 79 on your back, he's not cutting you any break.
Well, and then the other thing is you got the coaches over there going, now you need to work on taking some pitches this spring. How are you going to take pitches when I got number 79 on my back, and you know the first thing they throw is going to be a strike?
And I might get 4 at-bats the whole spring in a Major League spring training game.
I know my first spring training at bat, the big league spring training at bat, I got the good day to swing the bat, son.
Nice catch by Cairo, battling the stiff breeze and the bright sunshine. They go to the bottom of the 8th. The Yankees up 7-5. Joe Torre enjoying his beautiful Tampa Bay area day in early March. His team leading 7-5. Joe will start the season needing just 14 wins to become the 5th manager to record 800 victories with the Yankees. And what a group he'll join. Joe McCarthy, Casey Stengel, Miller Huggins, and Ralph Houck.
Well, even the worst Yankee haters, when you spend time with Joe Torre, you see him, you have to like him.
Well, I'm a broadcaster for the Red Sox, and Joe Torre is one of my favorite people.
He is such a class man, and he's always been that way. I remember when Joe was out of baseball and he was broadcasting, and he'd come down and do interviews for baseball cards and stuff like that. Classy act, class act, and he's been the same the whole way through. Never changed.
And so great to see him have this success relatively late in his career. A guy who was just always dreaming about getting to the World Series. There was a nice article in USA Today a couple of days ago about that, about how he read that. He talked about with his wife, Allie, how it was never going to happen for him. She said, wait a minute, your life's not over, your career's not over. And he got this opportunity. And as they say, the rest is history. 4 World Series championships later. You'll be adjusting to a new coaching staff. Anytime you have changes on the staff, particularly when you've been together a long time, there's a period of adjustment. Don Mattingly is the new batting coach. Roy White, another terrific player for the Yankees for 15 seasons. Back in the 60s and 70s, is the first base coach. Willie Randolph moved from third into the dugout to be the bench coach. That's a foul ball from Miguel Cairo.
Yeah, you're right, Sean. That's quite an adjustment.
Soho's going to coach third.
Yeah,
it is. A lot of new people on the staff.
And you can see the one thing that Joe does, he's a great teacher, and he passes things on to other guys. All those guys we've been naming are someday going to have a chance at managing, maybe not the Yankees, but somewhere in the big leagues.
Willie Randolph's had opportunities. Lee Mazzilli left
So to
this year
speak.
to go to Baltimore.
Yep.
Has interviewed.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
it's
with
just.
you.
Thank you, covering for me, aren't you? But you know, when you come from a successful franchise, yes, they're great coaches. I'll never take anything away from a Yankees coaching staff, but you're going to get more of a priority than if you come from another organization, because you are a winner. When you put the pinstripes on, you're a winner.
That's Reggie Jackson right there. And, you know, when you can be called one name, you're big time. Reggie,
Harold,
John.
HR.
Cairo hits it on the ground down to third. Lou Collier throws him out. One out here in the 8th. Yankees leading 7-5. More ESPN spring training baseball coverage presented by Miller High Life comes your way Monday afternoon, 2 Eastern time, as the Anaheim Angels take on the Seattle Mariners. Live from Peoria, Arizona. Ichiro and the Mariners. What a competitive division that should be out west in the American League.
It's real interesting. I'm telling you, the Angels have really woke a lot of people up. I think they're better than the team that won the World Series right now. On paper, anyway. It's a matter of putting it all together, but that team is loaded.
I agree, and they have a manager in the Joe Torre type mode.
Yes.
That can mix different personalities and egos and make it work.
Woo. Nice pickup by Lou Collier on the in-between hop, and he throws out Eric Almonte. Mariano Rivera getting some throwing in. He may come in to try to close it out in the 9th.
You know what I've never understood is
throw one pitch.
Throws one pitch, and not one hitter in all these years has backed up off the plate and said, okay, he's going to jam me. I'm going to back off the plate, try to catch one off the barrel. Are they that hard-headed, these hitters?
They've tried. I mean, you may not think so, but they've actually tried. I've talked to guys about that very same thing. They can't pick up the cutter. And it's almost like you face a guy and you don't trust that he's not going to throw something else.
Yeah, how can you not pick up the cutter? That's all he throws.
Hey, man, I haven't faced him. I don't know. I'd love to have that opportunity.
Not
1,
now.
2, 3 inning for Cogden. The Yankees go on 3 ground balls. 7-5, New York, as we go to the 9th.
ESPN Spring Training Baseball presented by Miller High Life. Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the High Life.
One of the features of Legends Field, the walkway across Dale Mabry Boulevard. Very busy thoroughfare here in Tampa. Takes you to the parking lot across the street where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in Raymond James Stadium.
And where the McDonough and Crook cars are located.
Not the Reynolds limousine, however.
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera in to try to save it. We've said that before. 40 saves last year for the Yankees, and the usual minuscule earned run average of 1.66.
All right, John, so you're sitting here thinking, let me back off the plate so I can get a ball to hit off this guy.
Back up and bail. That's the way I would approach Mariano Rivera. I would back up off the plate and bail, because he's going to get in your kitchen. Now, he might throw a pitch away just to let you see it, but he's going to get in your kitchen before it's all said and done.
Yeah, you can't fall for the bait. You go ahead and set him up and get what you want.
If he throws 3 on the outside part of the plate, you tip your hat and say, good, congratulations, you're better than me.
There
See,
it is. That's just a show-me pitch.
That's
right
a show-me 0-2 fastball right here. Now watch this one get in Machado's kitchen.
All right, we'll see.
I remember you back up and bail against Randy Johnson in the All-Star game.
Backed up and bailed against a lot of them, Sean. See there?
What was a 93 All-Star game in
Yes.
Baltimore?
Yeah, thanks for bringing up the good memories, Sean.
That was funny. That was a funny moment.
was there.
Though. You know, the whole heart pounding. You're quite an actor.
You know what?
Stepped out.
Let me
turned
tell you
your hat
this.
around.
Let me tell you. That's scary. That's scary. I've never been scared stepping in the batter's box. That was pretty scary. You know, I couldn't pick up the ball. I didn't see not one pitch he threw, and swung at 2 of them, which that'll tell you my intelligence.
There's Jason Michaels. He's gone all the way in right field today. Been on base twice with a single. He walked and scored on the Smith home run in the 7th inning.
Yeah, the difference with facing a Mariano right now this time of the year is he's throwing 91, 92 on the gun. He's got a little bit of a cut. And those youngsters are saying, hey, I faced Mariano. I got the bat on it, almost took him out of the yard. And then in about 4 weeks from now, you start seeing the real deal. Dialed up, getting ready for the season. And it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that when you get these minor league kids. You know, you talk to them, yeah, I played in the big league game. I faced whoever, you know, he's not that tough. I say, yeah. I say, catch him in June. Catch him in June when he starts to get limber. Different story.
Yep, it is. And that's the fun of the game, you know. That's what makes baseball such a great game is guys do change day in and day out.
Larry Bullitt told me one year, he said, I know there's one lefty you would never have gotten a hit off of. Steve Carlton said you could never hit him. So we go back in the video. I didn't even know I ever faced him, and I did get a hit off of him. But the problem was he was like 62 years old. You know, when he was in his 20s and 30s, I'm pretty sure a strikeout's on its way.
Rivera's just 34, so
he's with the Giants. Do you remember him pitching for the Giants?
Yeah.
He was with the Giants. He was done.
They wheeled him out to the mound in a wheelchair. You got a hit off.
Well, you know, they have those old
senior citizens.
Those
cold, man.
The ball guys, the old guys. Yeah, he was one of them, and he came in to pitch to me that day. The blowout.
Hey, you can still say you got a hit against Steve Carlton.
That's right.
Michael's trying to get a hit off Rivera. Mariano, 199 saves.
Wow.
Over the last 5 seasons, the most in the majors by far. 24 more than anybody else. Troy Percival is next on that list.
Tell you what, that man for the Giants might be approaching that record in 5 years. 199?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Right, 3.
See, that's the difference with Joe Girardi behind the plate, I think. You know, Joe will get Mariano to pound that ball inside. That was a pitch that you didn't see him throw much last year. He will come with that straight fastball. He throws a cutter almost every pitch. This is a ball he didn't throw last year. And you're right, John. If he continued to just throw the cutter, he's easy to hit. But he will mix in that straight fastball and then catch a guy off guard like he did right there. If Mario's working on anything this spring, that's what he's going to work on, getting back to being able to hit all parts of the plate with different pitches.
Well, that's where Joe Girardi's so great and such a valuable piece of a team's puzzle. You know, when you can have a backup catcher who can, and he doesn't care what he hits. I'm sure, you know, it might bother him when he goes home at night, but he doesn't care if he ever gets a hit. He knows what his job is, and that's the work of his pitching staff.
And just having him around is going to make Posada and Flaherty better. They're all going to talk. They're going to travel together. They're going to have great discussions on how to get guys out and what you need to do. What I picked up today, you're talking about being a broadcaster, how much better a coach you became, or a ball player you would have if you had this perspective. Joe's got that.
Well, you remember playing in spring training where you played against him in the regular season, Bob Boone, when he was with the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
How many pitches he could steal, and how he made those pitchers so much better. You know, they were pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, Langston and Jim Abbott and Finley and those guys, and Mike Witt, you know, they were pretty good pitchers. But, you know, Bob Boone made them better than what they were because he knew how to work, he knew how to set up hitters, and he knew how to catch a ball to get a strike called.
One and two now on Mark Smith, who had a 3-run homer in his only at bat this afternoon in the 7th inning to get the Phillies within 7-5. Another one of those guys who consistently puts up good numbers in the minors. Hasn't had many sniffs at the major league level.
Whew, that was nasty.
And a typical Rivera performance in the 9th. 1-2-3 with 2 strikeouts. So the Yankees have their first win of the spring. They have split the first 2 games of spring training with the Phillies, losing yesterday at Clearwater 5-1, winning today 7-5. Donovan Osborne gets the win with 2 1/3 impressive scoreless innings of relief. He followed the starter Kevin Brown to the mound. Brown pitched 2 scoreless innings, and Kevin Millwood, the starter and loser, he gave up 5 runs in 2 1/3 for Philadelphia. Rivera the save. Back with more from Tampa right after this. Yankees getting some exercising in after the ball game. Another rite of spring. 7-5 the victory. Mariano Rivera saved it. He's with Kyle Peterson.
Good Yankee closer Mariano Rivera. Mariano, great start. You get the 1, 2, 3 inning to start spring training off. What are you trying to get accomplished this early in spring training?
Well, actually, yes, try to get the arm in shape, throw some innings, throw some pitches, and build it up, be ready for the season.
Talk about this ball club you guys are throwing out there this year. Obviously, the addition of Vasquez, Kevin Brown coming in, Gary Sheffield, Kenny Lofton in the outfield. Is this potentially the best Yankee team that you've been a part of?
Well, I've been in a good Yankee team, but this one is, I think, is the best. And we still have to prove it on the field. But I think we got a good one, and we're ready to open up.
Now that you've been a part of the Yankees for so long, is there anything that you guys do in the offseason that surprises you anymore?
I don't think so. I don't think there's nothing out there already. I mean, everything has been accomplished. You know, we got the best player so far and good pitchers, so, you know. And I think we're ready.
Yeah. Mariano Rivera, closer for the Yankees. Thanks for taking the time.
No, thank you.
Sean, back to you.
Guys, before we talk about today's game, I have to ask you one question. If you look at that picture, how much does that accomplish? This light jogging 2 or 3 times across the outfield after the ball game?
Well, it depends on what you put into it. You got to get out what you put in. No, he didn't even run.
Back in the day.
He didn't run.
You know, I was usually this early in the spring. I was never usually out here after the 9th inning. So I made my attempt at running every once in a while, and just to
get a lot out of it if you do it.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired just watching that.
It's really not fun.
Really?
It's really, especially after.
Well, now you got policemen policing it. It used to be, hey, go run on your own. That's why you didn't get any work.
Right, strength and conditioning coaches.
Exactly.
Well, plus these guys sat here. Most of these guys have sat here for 9 innings. Some for 7. It's not like they're loose and they're just going out there running and getting ready to, you know, I don't know what they're getting ready for. What are they getting ready for?
Go eat. Go eat.
Yeah, they're going to run to go eat.
Run the spread.
Well, of course, the big story of the day here today in Yankee camp, the debut of Alex Rodriguez at third base. He hit third to start the game and looked quite comfortable at third base. Had some tough chances early and handled them all.
I think the big thing for him was game 1 jitters. You know, to be able to get that out of the way, not jitters. Jitters played pretty good too, but to get the jitters out of the way and know that, yeah, I've taken ground balls in practice. It's not the same as off the bat in the game. With people in the stands having to react out of white shirts and different backgrounds, he handled it. And now he's saying, I've done it. And his confidence is going to continue to grow. He's going to continue to work. The next challenge is, how does he react after he makes an error? He's going to make an error. And then he's on his way.
He's going to quit.
Yeah.
He's going to pack it in, throw his glove down, storm off the field, and cry. I thought that was pretty impressive.
I'm going to take my $25 million and go home.
Yeah, he was pretty impressive. I thought his footwork, his arm strength, he showed everything that we've talked about for months. He's going to be great over there.
He's special, and that's the only thing you can say about him is of all the people that are playing Major League Baseball right now, he is the most special, and he'll handle it well.
Yankees win 7-5, a day of long balls here in Tampa. We'll talk more about that when we come back. As Harold mentioned, in spring training, players staying out after the ball game, signing autographs for the young fans. 10,272 here today, a big crowd for the spring home opener for the Yankees. And they watched a lot of home runs and the debut of Alex Rodriguez, as we mentioned a moment ago, flawless in the field, handled some tough chances. They came after him. The very first batter of the game, Doug Glanville, hit a ground ball to third. And then the offense was the story. A 6-run inning in the third for the Yankees, a 2-run homer by Sierra and a grand slam by Jason Giambi. They took a 7-0 lead on a solo homer by Jorge Posada that looked like a routine fly, got up into that big breeze and blew out of here. And one of the big stories of the day for Philadelphia, the performance of the 20-year-old Cole Hamels. He came in and struck out the side in the 5th inning, and it was Jeter, Rodriguez, and Tony Clark. Wow.
Impressive, very impressive. They're talking about he's not going to come up. I think if he continues to show what he can do and he's able to do something like that, I know you don't like to rush youngsters, but we've seen it time and time again. Miguel Cabrera comes to mind, 20 years old last year in the World Series. I don't think the Marlins were too worried about rushing that young man.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I think and Sean said it during the break, when you see talent, it doesn't take long to notice how special they are, and this kid is going to be an outstanding pitcher. And but again, they have 5 starters, and they want him to start, so I can understand sending him back. But if Milton or Millwood doesn't come back next year, Cole Hamels will be in the big leagues in the rotation for the Phillies.
And Kevin Brown also made his Yankee debut and pitched pretty well. A couple of bloop hits and the usual grounders that go through against the sinker baller, but he looked like he doesn't need much tuning up down here to get ready for the season.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Kevin Brown was, one, to get to work, and same with Millwood. Those guys know what they're going to do during the season, but Kevin Brown got a lot of ground balls, and I think for the Yankee defenders, it's important to see how he's going to locate, execute, and go on. And again, this is the first game, and as the spring continues on, I think it's going to get even more interesting.
Yeah, and you know as well as anyone that when they go back to Yankee Stadium, Kevin Brown's a sinker ball pitcher. It's going to be wet in front of home plate. So some of these bouncers that snuck through the infield on him today, they're not going to have it in Yankee Stadium.
Grass will be high. He'll have everything working in his favor. The only Phillies offense today on homers by Perez, a 2-run homer for Tomas, and a 3-run homer by Mark Smith. 7-5 the final. Yankees victorious. More from Tampa right after this. Yankees victorious today against the Philadelphia Phillies. The final score, New York 7 and Philadelphia 5. Coming up next here on ESPN, Billiards. And stay tuned for Around the Horn and PTI later this afternoon. Now for Harold Reynolds and our newcomer John Kruk, Kyle Peterson, I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Tampa, Florida. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So long from Tampa.